Dr. Ram Kumar Fuyal, Honorable Member of National Planning Commission, will chair this session. His sector is industries. We are very pleased for his precious time to chair this session. Mr. Amar Bahadur Chand Thakuri of DOWRI to co-chair this session. And I request Ms. Jinita Sakya and Ms. Rashila Koirala to come in front and work as a rapporteur.
It was a great pleasure to be a part of this wonderful session this morning. Very much grateful to the organizer for this space to chair this session. Without making further delay, I would like to invite our keynote speakers and lecturers in their particular stipulated time frame to make their presentation gradually. Please allow me conduct this session formally. We have a very distinguished keynote speaker with us this morning, Ram Prasad Ghemire sir. He would make a very brief presentations about the role of mineral resources and mining in the economy of Federal Nepal, and this is a very much timely, appropriate topic as our country has already moved into the federal system and government is also preparing the very long-term vision to divert this country, one of the middle-income countries, often graduating from least developed countries in 2022, and we have a prominent presentators here. Please, I would like to welcome you here and to initiate your session. We are very much bounded in a time frame, so please invest only 20 minutes for your insightful presentation. Please go ahead.
My presentation today is something different that you people had for the last 2 days. It is a kind of, you had like scientific papers before. Today is a kind of economics development policy and status of present mining and minerals industry in Nepal. Forward, this is the mining industry. Remote, rural, but pleasant. You can see that if we have a mining industry in the urban areas, the people or environmentalists or something like that who doesn't want development, they tend to close it down. As you have seen, our Chobar limestone mines and the Iman cement factory, and then our the very beautiful marble industry which was in Godavari. Then I want to see that everything that isn't grown is mined. I want to put it forward. And then with the early morning, if you come up, don't look at the Colgate here. Look at the thing here. These are the thing, all minerals that we are looking for. So with the early morning, with a smile, we look at these minerals. And the Singadarbar, the big house of Nepal administrative building, and this Yakineti in the right side, where we are talking right now, has not been possible without mining. The middle Marshanti or the hydropower dams, from where we are getting this all energy, without possible with metals and minerals, as you see. And all these expressways, road, fast track rails are all unique metals and minerals. Similarly, the cosmetics that we people are wearing, all this, you can see the minerals here. Similarly, for the healthcare, all medicines and everything, we need the minerals. And of course, everybody has in their phone, like smartphones and all, which is all these metals the smart technologies we are using is all metals and minerals. So we have now come to a conclusion of what minerals are like. It is a building materials and everyday for our everyday life, like from construction to manufacturing, agriculture to technology and cosmetics, and the things we daily have as a food, the salt we add, or the car we drive, the smartphones, or everything we need. There is the minerals. So mining and development comes. How mining and developments are quite correlated. If you look at our developed countries and neighbors, you can see from China and India or other countries that it's the mineral resources that have made them quite a rich country. So using mineral resources, we have to look into account. As my view is that in Nepal, though there has been in the very ancient times, there was people and the policy makers and the kings were very much, they supported the mining and mineral activities, but in the present day, I don't think there is so. Sorry. So even if you look the Unifier, the king, Prithvinarayan Shah, what he said that khani bhaya ka ठाउँमा गाउँ भया पनि गाउँहरु जग्गामा सारिकन पनि खानी चलाउनु. At that time, it means that if any settlements there are mineral deposits, and what he advised was that you resettle the settlements and then you extract the deposit for the development of the country. Even that time, so it's a mining was very important in ancient times, in the today also, and is for the future, for the survival of the mankind, and like it is very important for the sustainable development of the country, and because it generates employment and prosperity. So employment generation is not the key, but the eradication of poverty is the main thing, or you can say reduction now. I will just put the history. What is the history here? Like before, it was about 100 years. As yesterday's our Kaplesh presentation also you have said that he has said that there were a lot of metals mined in Nepal at that time, and even we used to export copper and iron to Tibet. So there were, at that time, there was this period, about 100 years before, so we have quite good mines, but with the technology development and with the globalizations or infrastructure development and with all this thing, we couldn't have, this couldn't compete with the present day technology, and they were gone. And then from the last 2 decades, we started mainly in the non-metal mining. So it's like evidence of a century before indigenous local metal mining were here, and they ceased to exist with industrialization and infrastructure development because economically they couldn't cope up with the modern technology. And then present mine is mainly non-metal, and so what I am going to share now is about today is like the mineral resource industry have potential in Nepal, present day mining and status, challenges, then vision 2030 and beyond, and then way forward how to go. So even in the Hindu mythology, as day before yesterday in the opening was session also, our honorable Vice President and also honorable member from National Planning Person, Krishna Prasad Poli, was also mentioning that we are sleeping in vast resources of gold and silver and gems and all. And according to the Hindu mythology also, the king of wealth, the god of wealth, Kuber, while we are going through his chariot full of these ornaments get crashed down in Nepal, and it lies somewhere in Nepal. So we are sleeping on it.
I have seen in the Facebook, in the Facebook.
Yeah.
CRI.
So, yeah. So I think that now we should walk up and try to exploit these resources to make our country this thing. So I'm coming to the status of mineral exploration in Nepal. Till now, we have 63 different commodities have been identified, of which 21 is metallic, 23 are non-metallic, 6 are gems, 9 construction, 4 fuels, and yet to be explored. Because there are a lot of virgin areas that we haven't explored yet, and we are now presently, the Department of Mines is equipped with new technologies, so that I think in the coming years we can have more new commodities to come up and to be explored. And the present status is, this is the data, I'll just see the last fiscal year. We have number of opening mines, we have 126 in number, and if you look here, except for these three, iron, zinc, and lead, and with a very small number, 211, you see all are non-metallic mines. And if you see, it's mostly limestone, and this is for the main raw material for cement production. And other are like talc and others. We have some gems, semi-precious and precious, also like tourmaline, quartz, and kyanite, which has been exploited. And if you look at the prospecting side, that how the people are looking for, the entrepreneurs are exploring for new minerals, there are 362 licenses that people are looking for. I'm talking about the statistics of the present these things. So how is the government priority, the revenue generated, and the expenditure? If you look, like from mines royalty only, we are in the worst to yearly is around 1 billion. So, but if you look at the graph here, since this 8, 9, 10 years, we have been jumping a lot, and because this is due to the coming of cement industry in Nepal. And if you look at the budget for the minerals development, here too, if you look in last 8 years or so, the budget in this last 3 to 4 years, we have been taking some budget on the water side. And the contribution to the economy, if you look at like in the employment in the mining and related industry, you will see that we have, if we account for the direct and indirect effect, I'm not talking here about the induced effect, but only direct and indirect effect, and you see that around 2,000 people are getting employed. And labor income, this is only the unskilled labor income I'm talking about here, and it is about 20 million, and this contribution to GDP from the mining sector is around 0.6%, and then tax paid is 40 billion rupees. Direct, this is from all this mineral commodity that is starting. Again, indicators, if you see like how it contributes to GDP, if you only look at agriculture and industry and this sector, you see that industry's role is in the GDP is around 14 to 15% only. And if you go to industrial subsector, then we see that mining contributes to around 3.5 to 4%, while if you see for the whole, this thing mining comes in 0.6 only. So Now let's compare with other countries. As I have been in the very beginning, I told that the developed country, how they are doing with the mining and what is their contribution. You see here, sorry, that the most developed country then are having quite good share, and Nepal is just having 0.6, and then Afghanistan, who is also a developing country like us, is having 1.3. So this gives us emphasize us that we should emphasize on the development of mineral sector, and we should put our all effort to develop this sector. And now I'm talking about all this database. So this is the spatial distribution, because as we are going through federal system, so but this was accounted before, like we had thought about of 5 different development regions, and accordingly it was to develop accordingly we have been structured, but now it has been changed a little. And if you see here, if you province-wise, you see that except for our province number 2, all others are having mines, and mostly it's in province 3 and province 5. Similar is the case with the prospecting, that we have mostly the...
Time is 5 minutes.
Okay, sir. I'm of course concluding it. So what this represents is like the mineral trend, the industrial development trend. What is that? In Nepal, the entrepreneurs, they first look for the market. Where is the market? And then they go for the availability of raw materials. And then they look for the infrastructure and then the social cooperation. So when they see the market, only the entrepreneurs come for development of the mines, as this trend is seen in Nepal. Because last year only we tried to promote some mineral-based industry, and what we saw that those who were far off the central and this region, that there were people who were entrepreneurs were not interested. Only they were interested in region 3 or region 5. This shows that when I analyzed and I found this is a trend. And accordingly, you see that we have around 26 clinker-based cement plants coming up from this industry, and there are some 5 value addition plants and some 2 dolomite value addition industry, and we have some like marble industry and dead-born magnesites are closed down, though they were there. Coming to challenges, like we have a conflict on ownership of mineral resources. This will be coming up. There will be paper for how to share these resources, and the revenue generated, how to share also, because of these 3 different levels of governance. And then we have lack of awareness in policymakers also, in entrepreneurs also. As I said, that even if you look at in our constitution, in the main part, section, like main section 4, where it's mentioned about natural resources, you will never nowhere find the word mining or mineral resources. You have to go back into the annexes, only then you will see in the annex is written mine. Even you look at the we were just having discussion on the 15th 5-year plan, this thing in the ministry, and what people have drafted is there is nowhere mines and minerals. So we have to fight there again. So this is what awareness, lack of awareness, I think. And even in entrepreneurs, they just look for one thing, because I'm having a sort of time, I'll go fast. So it's all rugged mountains, innovative infrastructure, conflicting regulation. I have to, because of the regulations we have, like in forest or environment or the local level regulations, we are conflicting with mines and mineral regulations. And of course, we do have educated skilled manpower. Then of course social environment constant. And most of the mines are facing this one. We have the opportunity also, mostly of virgin unexplored new venues, and then end use diversification. This one I want to emphasize most because mostly people are looking for one type of end use, but there are a lot of end users. Use mark investment friendly environment we have. And this is the main thing I want to put, what is even the Prime Minister resolution purpose Nepal, Happy Nepali Vision 2000 and beyond. And for this we have a guiding constitutions, and then the goals of SDG, and of course the goals of Nepal is that by 2022 we want to promote from this least developed country, and then by 2030 we want to become a middle income country. And we have this mineral resource policy, and on the onset of 15th five-year plan and 25 strategy, for all this to happen, most of it is tackled by mining and industry. How? Because it has a multiple effect. These industries have both direct, indirect, and induced effect also. One mining industry creates a lot of industries, subsidiary industry which can have employment generations, revenue, and then finally and poverty reduction and GDP growth. So this is what I want to emphasize also, to make a competitive, vibrant, transparent Nepalese mining industry. Like
1 minute, please.
okay, one side we have this government and the unions, and the other side investors. So we have a very constructive partnership to build on trust. So, and then only then we can make a good workforce which can lead to all this result here. Finally, that will give us an impetus to import substitution like cement, clinker, talc and dolomite, and value addition of products, employment generation, and FDI attractions. So the forward is that we have to reform all these regulatory measures at all three levels of governance, harmonizations of intersectoral policy, and then tax holiday, one window policy for mineral taxation, like government facilitation in land acquisition. This is the main thing that the entrepreneurs are facing. And policy and laws for the development and use of radioactive mineral resources. And of course, like in hydropower development, I suggest to have a mineral resource development fund to come up. So this is based on the mineral classification. We suggest that the regulatory allocations should be in three levels of governance. Should be in this way, that strategic minerals should be remain with the central government, while important valuable to the provincial and the general minerals to the thing. Or you can go on the scale like big central government, medium provincial level, small province, and very small municipality. And this is the institutional reform, strengthening capacity, managerial, technical, and government skill manpower, mining, metallurgy, and chemical, and mining and mineral industry reform, specific end use diversification, exploit different highly valuable minerals, and value addition of mining industry. End notes, this is just an end notes that for a contribution mining to sustainable development, economic and technical viability, ecological sustainability, social equity need to be considered.
I have to stop you from here, please. Don't take it otherwise, because it's my duty.
Thank you. It's finished, sir. Thank you.
Your paper was very much informative, comprehensive, and insightful as well. We have many prominent scholars with us as participants. I would, without making any delay, I would like to invite another distinguished keynote speaker of this session. He is Govinda Sharma Pokhran.
Nepal is a small country. Nepal is not small. In terms of area, Nepal is 93rd, and in terms of population, it is 46th. It's in no way a small country. But if you put any country between India and China, it will become small. Another bit is Honorable Chair also announced, Nepal is rich in water resources. That's exactly what I'll be talking about during the whole period of my speech. With over 21 cubic meter of per capita water per day, Nepal seems to be quite rich in water. But is it a resource? As far as I can see, Nepal is water stressed most of the time. During monsoon 100 days, it is stressed by floods. Do you consider flood as a resource? Do you consider debt as a resource? It's not a resource. And the rest of the year, Nepal is stressed with because there is no water. There's hardly any water flowing. Most of the rivers are dry. People have to walk 3 hours to get a pail of water to drink. Is it a sign of being resourceful? No, not at all. So we are water stressed all the time. The Himalayas contain 481 billion cubic meter of ice. It sounds very big, but it's depleting under the action of global warming, climate change. So there's nothing to boast about the ice that is there in the third world. Talking about groundwater, Nepal has about 11.8 billion cubic meter of groundwater, mostly spread in the Tarai areas. All the water that flows in Nepal and through Nepal is derived from the rainfall, which occurs in 100 monsoon days. And within a period, it occurs within like 50 to 60 days, within a period of 100 days, between mid-June and mid-October. And it's drained by 6,000 rivers, most of which remain dry during most of the period. Talking about hydropower potential and economic potential of Nepal, the number that is quoted most of the time as hydropower potential of Nepal could have been the hydropower potential in 1966 when Dr. Hariman Shrestha derived that number studying different water bodies in different places of the Himalayas. But if you look at today, is it the hydropower potential of Nepal? So first of all, you have to understand what hydropower potential is. It's not a fixed number. Hydropower potential in terms of kilowatt hour, in terms of energy, is a fixed number. But in terms of megawatt, it's not. It is mixed with the economy, the purchasing capacity of the market and the willingness to buy by the market. So 83,000 megawatt, which is being quoted as hydropower potential of Nepal, is not the hydropower potential of Nepal. And so is the economic potential. It depends from time to time, depending on the market and the willingness by the market to pay for the energy. So the last thing in this slide is, I'll just go to start with National River Linking Project of India. Sir Arthur Cotton conceived the idea of damming the rivers in the Himalayas 150 years back and mining the water. And today, up to today, nobody in Nepal talks about mining water and stealing water to anyone. Whenever anybody speaks about water, it speaks about energy, it speaks about hydropower. And I have a slide during this, towards the end of this presentation, which shows that the component of hydropower in water resources development is about 10-12%. So what you want to do is load everything into 10-12% and make that resource unfeasible altogether. So when you talk about water resources in Nepal, you have to little bit change the physiography of Nepal. Normally it's divided into 6 zones, but I prefer to divide it into 4. The Himalayas, the mountains, the Siva lakes, and whatever is down the towards the south of Siva lakes. So this is the percentage. It's just playing with numbers, so there's nothing new. So this is how the physiographic zones are located. So I've just copied from some sources. So, talking about water resources, we have all four resources. We have resources groundwater, we have resources from the third pole, we have resources from, in the surface water, and we have resources in the air moisture. Groundwater reserve, as I said, there is almost 12 billion cubic meter of groundwater resource that is replenished every year. But this groundwater is about 2 billion cubic meter of this resource is located in the mountains, spread in the mountains, and about 10 billion cubic meter is located in the Terai. In the mountains, as the groundwater resource is very scarce, it is considered, all the water springs are considered as holy places, and puja is carried out, I mean, with the god and everything. The use of groundwater is very limited in Terai. Only about 4,000 hectares of land is irrigated, and most of the groundwater is extracted across the border in India. So talking about the third pole is Mr. Samujal Bhadracharya. Yesterday, he have talked about this thing, the third pole, the ice content, the water content, and the melting of ice and formation of glacial lakes, the threat and everything. I will not be dealing much about this, but what I will be stressing is that the ice mass that we are so proud about is depleting at an alarming rate. And that if you look at the numbers are changing. If you look at the number of glaciers, you see that the number of glaciers have increased over a period of 10 years, but then that increase is due to fragmentation of larger glaciers into smaller ones. So this is Armstrong's research, done like some years back, published by this is published by Ishimura, which also showed that in the Himalayas, in the Himalayas, this is for the Himalayas, and the decrease is about 15 meters in the last 40 years. So these are the three major. These are the three major river basins. It's Kosi basin in the east, Gandaki basin in the middle, and Karnali basin in the west. It's not to everyone, every Nepali. But then often, Mahakali basin, which is a border basin, it's considered as one of the main basins, whereas the basin in the east, Mechi basin, is never talked about. But then what I like to say is, the first three basins, Kosi, Gandaki, and Karnali, are the primary river basins, because they are primary because as per my classification, these are the rivers that the trunk rivers originate in Tibet. In case of Kosi, almost half of the basin lies in Tibet. In other cases, all these rivers, trunk rivers originate in Tibet. They flow into Nepal, through Nepal into India. And Mahakali, I treated a border river, and we have like 5 secondary rivers from Gankai to Babai. So, and they also contribute significantly to the water resources, water resources of this country. So this is the state of the surface water by the main trunk rivers, Kosi, Gandaki, Karnali, and I have Mahakali also included in this one because I don't want to make a separate table for Mahakali alone. So if you look at this, you will see that the numbers, most of Nepal is drained by these three basins, and the total water that flows through these basins is almost 160 billion cubic meters annually. And this is a list of second order rivers starting from Gankai, Kamala, Bagmati, West Rapi, and Babai. And these rivers altogether drain about 20 billion cubic meters of water annually. And talking about the first order rivers are snow-fed rivers. However, if you look at the water flow in the river, most of the water, even in the first order river, is derived from the rain. Almost 80% of the flow is derived from rain, and in total amount of water flow, very insignificant amount of ice melt is included. However, the content of ice melt in the lean season flow is very significant. Often it's more than 50% of some of the rivers and tributaries. The second order rivers originate in the mountains, in the Mahabharat range. They are perennial rivers. They are all spring-fed rivers. The third order rivers originate in the shivaliks, and the fourth order down order rivers originate in the Babar or in the Rai. As I said earlier, there are 6,000 rivers. Most of them remain dry during most of the year, and most of them are shorter than 10 kilometers in length. The first order rivers drain about 160 billion cubic meter of water. As I said, second order rivers drain about 20 billion cubic meter. The remaining rivers would drain about 35 billion cubic meter of water. The contribution of ice melt is included in 25 billion cubic meter that flows to India from Nepal annually on the surface. About 10 billion cubic meter of water that crosses the border unnoticed is not included in this 225 billion cubic meter that crosses the border.
That made out for a bit,
Yeah. Out of this 235 billion cubic meter of water that flows from Nepal to India, about 195 billion cubic meter flows during the monsoon period. It's like more than 7,000 cubics of flow, which is like, if you look at the lean season flow of Saptakosi River, that is the highest, it's 280 cubics. Lean season flow of Kanali, 214 cubics, compared to that 7,000 cubics. It's huge. Peak floods, talking about the peak floods. I have a small table included just after this thing. There are two peak floods noticed in Saptakosi since 1954. The first one was in 1954, which was about a little more than 24,000 cubics, about a little more than 25,000 cubics. And then there are quite a few floods that are more than 15,000 cubics, 10,000 cubics. Coming to the third point, I want to stress the third point here is that only about 30 billion cubic meter of water is left to flow during the 8.5 months of the lean period from, say, October to May. This means the average discharge of all the rivers taken together is less than 1,000 cubics. And that too, this scarcity is verticality induced, often verticality induced. If you look at a topo map, you see Karnali flowing just adjacent to a village. But that Karnali may be 500 meters below. It's of no notice for any of the economic activities of the village because it's located 500 meters below. So, that I call verticality induced scarcity. If you just happen to look, you see the closeness, but it's not. So this is the peak floods that I talked about. I don't want to go into detail of that. And the peak flood that was noticed in Karnali Chapani in 1975 was almost 20,000 cubics, which was, very much compared to 214 cubics as the minimum flow. So Nepal still has plenty of water, mostly discharging its devastating monsoon floods and scarcity in the lean period. So is the water in the floods a resource? What is a resource? So this is how resource is defined. If you look at the Cambridge English Dictionary, a resource is something, large amount of money, a valuable possession that someone has, a large amount of something good. So in order that the water to be a resource, it has to be something good, not something that is inviting water-induced disasters and killing people and wiping out our economic activities. And the Oxford Thesaurus, defines it as a mass, wealth, money, cash, capital,
Please,
treasure.
you are requested to conclude your presentations in within 5 minutes.
Sure, thank you. So, this means neither the water that flows in the monsoon is a resource, nor the scarcity of water is a resource Nepal. Nepal is not a resource at all. So how to make a non-resource into a resource? The challenge is to create a balance between the abundant water of the monsoon into into something that can flow in the lean season by augmenting the flow, by doing flood water management. So the answer is flood water management. Now, if you want to do a flood water management, then the overabundance of water as well as scarcity increases along and it's not only in Nepal. The water stress I talked about increases towards the direction of the flow. So as the water crosses the border, it goes across the border and it's more over there than over here. So there has to be a scope of flood water management as far as I can see. So with this water, there are about 400 million people to feed. And then therefore the market is obvious, but the willingness to add value to it and to pay for it needs to be checked. To check the feasibility of these projects, and also check the political economic value of this value addition. So this is about the feasibility of the scope, the plan that I said. How you manage the flood to make the water available in the dry season, but then study and research on technical, economic, environmental, social feasibility, considering ecosystem services, values, traditional, cultural, spiritual, etc. Study to determine the actual cost per liter of water that flows in and outside Nepal. And the dilemma of today is that in Nepal, even today, there is no agency that studies the price of a liter of water. Nobody knows. We talk about it as a resource, but then if it is a resource, then somebody in the government should be able to say, what is the value of that resource? How many $1 billion? Nobody knows. Nobody has a number. So it's not a resource because there is no number. Also, duly consider the fact, while I was speaking about water as an economic commodity, don't forget that water is not an economic commodity only. River is a living object. And don't ever try to exploit the living object indiscriminately. So this is almost one more slide. This is a case study of Saptakoshi High Dam. It's not the Saptakoshi High Dam that the government of Nepal and the government of India are doing together. This is my project. I've been working on this since last few years. If you look at the different benefits of water from Saptakoshi High Dam project, you will see that the
1 minute, please.
Sure. The weightage of energy component is only 12%, and weightage of food security is over 70%. So these are the multiple benefits of regulated water. So at the end of the day, I would like to say that the recognize the multiple benefits of regulated water officially and then only treat it as water resource. Until then, it's not a resource, we have no water resource. Thank you very much.
Definitely, we are not rich only in water resources, but also we are globally very big and lifeline resource ownership citizen of Nepal. I mean, we are very rich in water resources, so water should be utilized not only for different purposes but also for economic purposes as well. This is the gist of the paper. And multiplier effects of the waters are also there. The water sources are very nicely and in detail exposed in the presentations and categorized in different ways. It's really a good paper, but need to make it more scientific through R&D process to find its actual benefits in futures by calculating its potentialities to transfer it into the economic benefits. Thank you very much, Speaker. And here we have a very prominent experts on these areas, no doubt. So we would like to open the floor only for 10 minutes. And the questions to be raised to the speakers are limited to only 2 to 3 for each speaker. And please, the one who is going to raise the questions, you just let us know your name and please questions only. And speaker, please, you just answer very precisely. No need to make it more lengthy and longer.
Well, it was a great paper about the water as a resource. So I have my question or query. So in the past, we were more richer in the case of number of springs as well as the water flowing from the springs. So the decrease in the water in springs is the influence of the degradation of the previous ponds is now significant, and the study had been carried in India that, as far as I remember, that the increase in the number of ponds has resulted to the increase in the infiltration. As a result, there was some live spring, or some dead springs were live again. So decrease in the recharge and the infiltration has also resulted in high flash ponds and as well as so can the maintenance between the spring water become crucial in the field of monsoon as well in the post-monsoon discharge so that the water resource could be added?
Please raise your question in point. What do you want to answer? No need to explain.
What I want to know is that can the maintenance of the spring becomes crucial to balance the monsoon as well as post-monsoon discharge?
Very interesting question. We have been doing research on groundwater, on water springs, and most of the water springs have been disturbed by the great earthquake of 2015. And it's not only the recharge area, it's not only the connectivity between the recharge area and the spring and the aquifer itself, but the indiscriminate development and bad engineering has very badly affected the state of the groundwater and the springs. And as far as I can see, as most of the springs have been very badly affected in most of the areas in Nepal. It will be very difficult to talk about what we are talking. But then definitely, by the project in Kabre with some recharge ponds, and then what we have seen is that in some of the cases the result was phenomenal. It was very much supporting, but in some of the cases it was not. So there is a lot of work yet to be done to really confirm whether it's 100% true or partially true. Thank you.
My name is Dr. Yunus Akbar. I am from Bangladesh. My question is just I want to know, but in case of your Nepal mineral resources extraction, what is the royalty of different minerals? You can give examples of any one or two minerals. What are the royalty percentage? If someone struck the minerals, what is the royalty? Number one, and number two, it is just my interest. What is what is the per capita income of Nepal? You want to become middle income country? I am interested to know what is the present per capita income. I may know it from the net, but as I have come to my mind, I want to know from you, if you are known. And first of all, please tell me about the royalty. Another question, very small question is all, that in your case, mining license, can anybody or any institution can get direct mining license, or to get the mining license, someone will have to go through the prospecting license. If you remember all the questions, please.
Yeah. About the royalty. The royalty is mainly defined upon the market prices, like it is up 5 to 10%, depending upon the minerals. Okay. And regarding the our per capita income, so it is like a constant price and real price. So I can't give you exact figure right now. Okay. So you have to better look upon the thing. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I think I would better answer your questions.
Yeah.
And more flavor.
And for the third questions, there are two processes of getting this your mining license. One, as you said, is first you have to take the processing license, and then after that you have to go for the mining license if your prospecting things come up to be economically and technically viable. And the second is that our Department of Mines and Geology, we explore and do prospecting, and then evaluate the resources, and then we go for bidding process. And then if you come for the bidding process, you can directly get the mining license. Thank you.
Yeah, very nice, I think, answer. But still, we are exercising the fiscal federalism now, and our government is now on 3 tracks. We are exercising the 3 tracks of government. One is the local level, province level, and the central level. So in constitutions 5 to 8, there is provision about how to distribute that royalty of the natural resources. The one who collects the bills will receive 60%, and remaining will transfer to the center. And there is details, act, provision. So we have to look through one by one, because in mineral resources also, based on their values, based on their importance, utilization possibilities, there is a division, right? Number one. Number two, per capita income is, see, at the end of 14 5-year plans, our per capita income is projected to be $1,012. At the end of NGC graduation, we'll have $1,500, and at the time when we'll achieve the milestones of SDG 2030, our per capita income will be $4,000 is projected, and we are working to achieve this all through utilizing our own potential oil resources from our best possible levels. And this is the year for us to identify our economic drivers and enablers, and how the drivers can be transformed into the economic values that we are working on planning commissions through Vision 2043 documents. And a part of that will be implemented for the 5th 5-year periodic plan. Thank you. If you have any questions, please. One more questions would be appreciated.
I am Krishna Prasad Kavle, and retired from the Department of Mines and Geology. Since I was working over there, so I am a little more interest. So, Mr. Gilde, I like to ask some query. So, what are the major causes about the reduction of the number of the mining and prospecting license? If you see the figure since last 3-4 years, the number of the license is very much decreasing. It was, I remember, it was sometimes 519 prospecting license, and mine is about 100 and something. And then at the time the revenue was very low. Now, if you see last 3 fiscal years data, that 3-4 years data, what we find is now that revenue has gone from millions to 1 billion, more than 1 billion. But the number of license they issued is decreased so much. Say now, as he said, about only 127 mile license, 26 mile license, and like that 300 something. I heard myself. Actually, I was present 362 something like that. So that I like to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Regarding your query about decreasing of license, for mining license, it has not decreased, but it is increasing regularly. As you see from 2068 to now, in 2068 we had only around 70 mining licenses, and now it's 126. There were before there were 131, but because of extraction, completion of extraction, so some mines were closed. So now we have 136. Regarding prospecting license, this goes up and down, and because we had some this regulatory measures plus this price for the license for renew and the land rent and was increased for 5-fold after.
And project developers. So with this provision, even it is already mentioned in the constitutions, government is drafting some policies, and definitely through rigorous research with evidence-based data, national data, and fact and figures, we can clearly project. We can clearly make a projection about what is going on in fact. I think it is a very small bag of pilot study. I don't think that it covers all the comprehensive information that is going on in reality, but it is a picture. So please understand it that way. There is a little time left. If you have a question, please, single question is awarded.
And marble industry, which were in operation and have been closed down. So we have to forget it, or what we have the plan, or are we going to rescue these two industries? Okay.
We have been, revising the all act policies based on our new constitution, and we have also been revising and reviewing the 5 years development plan since 1956 to now, and based on the informations and fact and figures we heard from the review committee, we will prioritize our project. Definitely, we are in the process to minimize the trade deficit, and we always work for import substitution industries, but sometimes we have to look at the comparative benefit advantage as well. And based on CBA, EEIA, EIA, DPR, and all those, the prerequisites, we will prioritize them. And we will work based on our potentialities. By small investment and small effort, if we can achieve huge returns, definitely we will give first or second priorities to those sectors. But sometimes, even if there is no high rate of returns, but for our dignity, for our sovereignty, some projects or programs are to be strengthened. That also will talk, will discuss, all those matters will come into the debate, and with the authorized body, when it is endorsed, will implement. Thank you.
Now I request Chair of this session, Dr. Ram Kumar Vyal, Honorable Member of National Planning Commission, to present token of appreciation to the keynote speaker. First of all, I would like to call Mr. Ram Prasad Gimire.
invite the speaker of the next lot. We are now invited them as invited lecturers. So at first, I would like to invite Uttam Bolsester to speak on his paper issues and aspects of construction materials mining in Nepal. It is also one of the burning issues.
My paper is issues and aspects of construction material mining in Nepal, and I mostly deal with some legal aspects. For the development of industry, roads, highways, railways, bridges, buildings, etc., we need a lot of construction material. Lower the price of the construction material, such as stone, aggregates, sand, lowers the cost of infrastructure development. Cost of this material depends upon the production cost, which in turn is the factor of excavating, processing, and transportation cost. Short analysis of the construction material mining work is carried out. Based on the results, some of the legal aspects that requires to improve change of added and existing rules and regulations are outlined and suggested to include in the federal rules and regulations to from that law. So the present legal status, the Constitution of Federal Nepal 2072 has the power of the Federation as mines excavations. It's not very clearly defined over here. And subclause of Articles 162 says, exploration and management of mines is the power of state. Formulation of policies to protect, promote, and make environmental friendly and sustainable use of natural resources as its power. And Article 57 Clause 4 says, protection of mines and minerals is the power of the local levels. And Article 57 Clause 5 says, the concurrent powers of the Federation, state, and local levels shall be vested in the mines and minerals, royalty from natural resources, and such powers shall be exercised pursuant to this Constitution, the federal law, the state law, and the law made by the village assembly or municipal assembly. The Local Government Operation Act 2007 has been already published, and in this, the protection of mines and minerals, the power, obligation, duty, and power of the local government is mentioned as protection of mines and minerals, mining and minerals and royalty collection, subsection 4, and policy, rules and regulation, standards and monitoring of the royalty to be generated by mineral resources, its collection and distribution. Unfortunately, this law the third provision has been twisted a little bit, and every individual local government is making their own mining rules and rules. Actually, according to the Constitution, the power is the executive power of the state. Exploration goes to the state. It's not the local government to form those rules. It's the state that has to make those rules. In between, Minister of Federation Affairs and General Administration Nepal government recently have issued a letter stating that until the rules and regulations regarding the construction material mining in federal law of Nepal is formulated, the license for mining the construction material is to be issued by the local government on approval from the Department of Mines and Geology, according to the Mines Act 2042 and its regulations. And till today, is continued accordingly. So, after this, I'm going about the short analysis of this mining. First, Nepal, lot of infrastructure development is needed that consumes construction material in huge amount. It demands is widely distributed all over the country, not only in the central part of the city, even in the small villages. We are making roads and we are making many construction. So, its demand is distributed all over the country. There is a big demand of construction material in our neighboring countries, such as northern state of India and Bangladesh. Construction material is abundantly available almost throughout the country. so it generates revenues to the government. The Constitution of Federation Nepal 2007 has a clause that empowers the Federation, state as well as the local level in mineral resources development processes. Previously it was a central process. Everything is from the center. Now the power has been distributed over all the 3 states. So weakness of concessional mineral mining industry is that Mines and Mineral Acts and rules regulations of the federal Nepal are not yet formulated. There is only one centrally located Department of Mines and Geology. Concessional mineral mining is not equally treated as other mining works, despite the fact that construction material required in any construction is more than 4 folds of cement and other things. And the cost incurred is 60 to 70% of the cement, and in total of the project, it comes around 16 to 18%. So, Industrial Enterprises Act has given all minerals industries the privileges of national privileged industries and enjoys several facilities as per the Act. However, construction material mining is not getting the privileges. Mining of construction material in forest and public land is totally prohibited. The construction material mining, despite its importance, has to carry out only in the private land. So, the EIA ceiling for construction material is below more than 200 cubic meters within EIA. But for limestone, it is more than 1800 cubic meter per day. So why this discrepancy? What is the difference between the mining? Both minings are doing the same environmental training and degradation. So there should not be such discrimination. So separate licensing for construction metal processing, such as sand washing, crushing stone, etc. is required. In case of other mining, just like say the limestone mining, we can mine, we can crush, we can do whatever we like under the same mining license. But why construction material need separate licensing for crushing stones, crushers, and so on? So, transportation cost of construction material increases its price. That ultimately increases the project cost, such as highways, railways, embankments. And for such large projects, numerous mining sites nearby the project reduces the price of construction material. And prohibiting construction material mining in forest and public land, area issued for other mining activities, and area of special minerals of Department of Mines and Geology limits the sites for the construction material mining. Lower mining cost helps construction material export feasible. This is only possible with large-scale mines with modern technology. This means it requires bigger area. The allowable maximum area of 0.25 square kilometer as per the rule of mines and minerals. And mining in private land only hinders the processes. We cannot have a big construction material mining enterprises. The minimum quarry area of 1 hectare of private land in cluster at mountains and hills with rocks or sand or quarry is difficult to get, only in private land. If we consider forest land, it's easy, but when we say it's only in the private land, it's difficult. So this has to breaking in emerging the small-scale construction mineral mining at various parts of the country. That ultimately is making higher the cost of the development. The provision of mining within, there are some clauses, sub-articles in the mining rules. They prohibit working within 15 meters of public roads, fuel seat, and so on and so on. And they are not scientific and environmentally secure and putting lot of obstacles in construction material mining. And it's not only for construction material mining, it's for other oil and gas mining also. Because of the rule, river sediments and extraction from river are not allowed, which sometimes is essential to safeguard the river course, its environment and erosion of fertile land. Like is a big issue of Chure and Tara. The requisites for crusher such as crusher must be away by 5 kilometers from large marker, 2 kilometers from institutions, settlements and forests, and so on are very primitive, where we can get a land that are 2 kilometers far from the forest, 2 kilometers far from the settlements and so on. It's a ridiculous closure. So it has just impulse for the illegal crusher industries. So legal processes are dying. So, the EPA rules, the Environmental Protection Act and rules allows extraction of sand, gravel and soil from the surface of river and rivulet up to 50 cubic meters per day with IDE, and then after EIA is required. But the mines and minerals rules, they say within 50 minutes we cannot do anything. So we can do the mining legally. So only illegal people can do, and they never do IE or EIA. So such contradiction things we have to take care of. All construction material mining is not destructive. Most of the minings have some environmental wear and tear, but not all. The systematic excavation to maintain the river course and removal of excessive sedimentation does not degrade the environment, but helps in safeguarding the environment and the soil erosion. But this needs detailed and thorough knowledge about the river system and sedimentation process. But in Nepal, all mining is considered totally environmental destructive. And the mining nearby Chure area, and Chure is defined politically, and even the geological Mahabharata range is also considered within the Chure range, and the mining is not allowed to go over there. So no modern technology and machineries are used in construction mineral mining. Most of the construction mineral mining is small scale production, less than 100 cubic meters per day. So nobody is very much interested in high technology. So opportunity of construction mineral mining industry to fulfill the vision of the Samrit Nepal and Sukhi Nepal, that is prosperous Nepal and happy Nepali. Infrastructure development must increase that demands the construction material more than the usual. Thus, the political vision has created a big opportunity for construction material industries. There is a big demand of construction material in our neighboring countries. The right approach to the construction material mining and its production with political dedication can make these countries our consumer of the construction material. Proper excavation and mining in the floodplains of the rivers of Tarai in the regular basis with scientific study of the floodplains, load carrying capacity, etc. Not only could produce construction material, but also save the erosion of the fertile land Tarai. The main threat of mining is, the biggest threat of any kind of mining is the environmental degradation and impacts if not properly handled and mitigation measures are taken. Haphazard mining, illegal mining, without proper planning and designing with environmental study are the main cause of impacts. So my results of my study is that the construction mineral mining is one of means to achieve the Samrit Nepal and Sukhi Nepal vision of the government. However, this needs the privileges from the government, and several unscientific and weak rules and regulations need to be reviewed and corrected. In new rules and regulations to be prepared in federal law. The new power delegation to the local authority concerning the CM mining, monitoring, and royalty collection, if implemented properly, is praiseworthy and helps in nullifying the illegally running mines and processes. Construction mineral mining helps in infrastructure development within the country and be a source of foreign currency generation by exporting it to the neighboring countries. The mining industries and are in the emerging state of government, and government must give emphasis in the human resources development so that mining engineers, geoscientists, and so on. Mining industries may wear and tear the environment. Your emphasis must be placed to safeguard the environment. So based on the results, I have put some suggestions and recommendations. Formulate the new rules and regulations regarding consistent mineral mining of Greater Nepal at our west coast. Expand the Department of Mines and Geology in all states at our west. Give priority to the consistent mineral mining work. Provide the status of special privilege industry to consistent mineral mining or geology. Facilitate the consistent mineral mining possible at forest and public land. Make land acquisition processes easier. Increase the range of IE or EIA range for consistent mineral as that for the limestone mine. If it does not hamper, if the consistent mineral mining does not hamper, we need to provide work even in the mining area of some others within the area issued for other minerals. Because the consistent mineral mining only mines stones and sands without any modern minerals. So their mining within us mine doesn't hamper the others. But that makes possible for nearby sites, for different sites for consistent mineral mining. That already reduces the price to the, starting to the big infrastructure development projects. And this is the same case for special mineral area also. The Department of Mines and Geology, they go in giving license to all kinds of other. For a special area, they are protected for some special minerals. So, if doing the construction mineral mining over there doesn't pose any problems, then we should give
3 minutes, please.
Increase the lease area limit of 0.25 square kilometer to bigger area. Make irrigation of 1 hectare quarry area to smaller area. Replace primitive unscientific processes such as forwarding mining within 50 meters and so on and so on. Best by flattening up slope lands. They take permission to flatten the slopy lands and they sell the whatever they comes out from that, and there is no royalty or anything to pay to the government. So whatsoever the kind of illegal mining, it's either it's flattening slopy lands or fishery ponds. People take license for digging the fishery ponds and they sell all the consistent material without any royalty paying to the government. So we must stop it. Whatsoever may be the cause of mining, establish infrastructure development. It should be given due consideration to the environmental protection and safeguard our Mother Earth, without whose existence we all will be in pain. Thank you very much.
Because without avoiding the conflicting situations among many sectoral ministries, the development process now is in problem. So we are seeking a solution to draft an integrated corridor act among industry, forest, physical and transportation ministries, water supply, telecommunication, and one more I have forgotten right now, but at least those sectoral ministers very related to each other in a development process, they should have one integrated act so that once they sign, the development can't be interrupted. In this way, how you raise all those things we have initiated to address, and we are now digging out some other problems as well through R&D procedure. So definitely we'll try our best for the reformative approach, and this is the time we have to start to follow it, and we promise as well. Thank you very much, and I would like to invite the next presenter, Copy Podell. He would now present the paper Geological Control of Mineral Resources in Nepal.
The title of presentation is Geological Control of Mineral Resources in Nepal, and this presentation is prepared with Professor Dr. Ram Bahadur Shah and me together. He is our very senior professor working for a long time in the field of mineral resources. I request Professor Shah sir to sit in the front chair. On behalf of, because his voice is very slow and the doctor has recommended to take the voice rest. So I am going to present this presentation. Basically, we are talking about the exploration of mineral resources from Nepal, and we are dreaming to make Sukhi Nepal. But first of all, we must find the mineral resources of the country. Where are the mineral wealth and how do we extract it? First of all, we have to prospect well. Without good prospecting, then how can we say that we are rich in mineral resources? So my focus today is on where are the mineral resources or what are the geological indications on the basis of which we can say, yes, we have these mineral resources in Nepal and we can start to invest it either. Or these are the geological steps or procedures that we must adopt to explore it. Yeah, I always inspired by this saying. Already our engineer Ram Prasad Ghimire sir also focused. Khani bhayako ठाउँमा गाउँ गया, गाउँ सारी पनि खानी चलाउनु. So shift the villages and run the mine industry if there exist economic deposits of minerals. And I always inspired by this big quotation. And these days in university, I am teaching and doing some research in the similar field of mineral resources as well. And as we all know, there are specific mineral deposit theories and processes that require for the deposits of minerals. These are magmatic concentration, sublimation, contact metasomatism. These are some of the geological processes for the good mineralization. Otherwise, there is no other processes that give rise to the development of mineral resources. And types of geological control on the mineral deposits include lithological control. This is called stratigraphical control as well. For example, Tarke, Ganesh Himal, and Phulchoki Liren, zinc confined in limestone and dolomite. So they are confined within the carbonate successions. This is lithological or stratigraphic control. Similarly, another control is structural and tectonic control. Metamorphic minerals like garnet, which are formed in high temperature and pressure. Similarly, kyanite and other minerals can be mineralized under this structural or certain tectonic environment. Similarly, there are some other stratigraphical and magnetogenic controls because magmatic bodies, either it is acidic, basic or intermediate, can be considered for a specific type of mineral genesis. So these are the hunting places for the precious minerals or the minerals in question. This is the generalized geological map of Nepal, where this yellow represents the Shivalik range, and then one permanent geological structure to the north. This is, and then followed by Lesser Himalaya, and there is another structural discontinuity, and then Higher Himalaya, and then another discontinuity. So we have a different tectonic units in Nepal, Himalaya, and based on these different tectonic units, we have different types of mineral deposits. The mineral deposits that are found in one tectonic unit seldom found in other tectonic units. This is the most important things to us. List of some of the economic and sub-economic mineral deposits of Nepal till now can be documented is in metal, iron, copper, lead and zinc, gold and uranium can be considered as the potential minerals based on our present study. Similarly, in non-metallic limestone, magnesite, phosphorite, tall coal, red clay and kaolin. Similarly, in precious and semi-precious stone, tourmaline, granite, garnet, aquamarine, beryl, quartz, ruby and sapphire. And as a dimension stone, marble, slate, schist, granitic marble, green marble, and construction materials as well. These can be summarized as the potential mineral resources for the Nepal. And for these all potential mineral resources, we can categorize their genesis under these 5 headings. One is syngenetic deposits, minerals that were formed with their host rocks together. And second is hydrothermal deposits or magnetic deposits. These may be later or in the same time during the deposition of rock materials. And another is structurally controlled deposits. Nepal Himalaya is structurally quite complicated. It is folded, faulted and thrusted. So there are some specific minerals which are particularly controlled by such type of geological structures. And another is placer deposits, that is just a panning process and separating the heavy minerals from the lighter ones. Okay. And this is the geological map with potential mineral locations. When we view to this map, then the Siwalik belt can be considered potential for oil and gas and some uranium deposits, as well as it is considered as very rich for the construction materials. And the lesser Himalaya is considered as a precious for metallic deposits, mostly metallic deposits, copper, iron, lead and zinc, in addition to some tin and tungsten. Similarly, the part of the lesser Himalaya that we specified as a Mahabharata range is rich for limestone or dolostone, it means for carbonate rocks. And similarly, the higher Himalaya is considered rich for construction materials, for pure metallic deposits, lead and zinc, and the Tethys succession is considered rich for some gases and construction materials. And uranium as well in the based on the latest information, but no detailed studies is carried out yet. And magnetism, if we talk about this magnetism, because whenever we want to find the rare earth element, because there are some possibilities of finding the rare earth elements. This may be the good source for us. I just want to remind China is getting a significant GDP selling the rare earth element to America. But we have several pockets of magnetic bodies in Nepal. But till the date we are not starting any study to find such rare earth elements. This is a pity and bitter reality. We are talking about the Sukhi Nepali, and we are saying to promote the mineral-based industries, but still we are very, very primitive stage, and in most cases we are not started yet. So, in case of our Himalaya, there are Precambrian magnetism, early Paleozoic magnetism, Permian magnetism, and tertiary magnetism. And if we just see the literatures of different countries, so there are different possibilities of finding such type of rare earth elements in addition to other type of minerals that can mineralize in the skarn zone in contact with the magnetic body with the host rocks. So we should focus a specific study on these zones, looking the geological map of Himalaya, of Nepal Himalaya. And this is the granitic distribution in Nepal Himalaya. This all red indicates the granitic positions in Nepal, and at the contact boundary, as well as inside this granitic body, both sides are potential for valuable minerals in one hand. And granite itself can be used as a granitic marble. That's why these are our precious resources for us. Potential economic, sub-economic, because still we are not sure are really they economic or not, so there is question mark. Metallic mineral resources of Nepal are lead and zinc. These are found in Himalaya, higher Himalaya in formation 2, and Kathmandu Nyap succession is basically in the Marku formation associated with carbonate rocks. Similarly, iron, till the date we are observing in Norpool formation, this is Precambrian, Mansikatic formation, tertiary, Lymphatic group, late Precambrian to Paleozoic. And copper from Kuncha, Norpool formation, Nyap, Kathmandu Nyap, Jajarkot Nyap, they belongs to Precambrian and uranium. So this is the geological control for these minerals. If we are interested or anybody wants to invest and request to the geologist, we should guide them based on these information, based on these geological information. These are the just bottom lines. And then we must follow the geological map along the strike to find such type of minerals. Similarly, for iron deposits of Nepal, the important iron deposits are of two types. One, and are stratigraphically controlled. Metamorphosed sedimentary deposit, Precambrian rocks. For example, Labdikola, Hudkola, Kuncha formation, these type of minerals. And another is Those and Jelwang in quartzite host, schist and phyllites of Lymphatic group, Precambrian equivalent. And other is sedimentary. And next is Kulchotichi. This is confined within the Chitlan formation in host shale slate of Silurian age. And Mansikatic formation of lower tertiary age. And then is Wadi, iron is in Hoisu, and this belongs to this lower tertiary age. And these are the major distribution of iron in Nepal Himalaya. And my concern is these give the location points, and we should give emphasis to extend the map along this strike to find the new deposits. This is the main theme of my presentation. Because we are saying we are evaluating the mineral resources based on the present information. But we are missing the work to extend the map with the viewpoint of mineral exploration along its strike. This is the reason that we are telling, yes, we are finding the mineral resources in this kola, in this stream, in this ridge. We are describing in the way of very fragmentary issues. But we are not telling, yes, we have copper deposits from this location to this. Copper mineralization starts from this point and it goes and pinching well to this point. The thickness varies like this, like this, like this, not. We are telling, yes, in this kola there is copper deposit and next kola there is copper deposits, and this type of information I think is not sufficient for the investors. So this is one case study I carried out in Kanau district. This is Labdikola, Hudkola section. We prepared this geological map with the aim to prospect the mineral resources. There at the top part, there is a small outlier of dolomite, and this red color, orange color indicates Norpool formation. So Norpool and the Dhading dolomite, this is the outlier of the Dhading dolomite. And at the boundary there is iron deposit. This is called Phalamdana iron deposit. So what is the geological control? The one permanent geological control is there is possibility of iron. There is possibility of finding the iron in between the contact of Norpool formation and Dhading dolomite. So we should use this knowledge to the adjacent area and throughout the lesser Himalaya. Similarly, within the Benigard slates, these black spots, and this is the carbonaceous pockets found within the Benigard slates, and these carbonaceous pockets I make the thin section of the rocks, and under this thin section we can see the percentage of iron. It is more than 85% carbonaceous material. If so, is it graphite or not? Then I took the sample and I prepare the sample for X-ray diffractometry analysis. And this gave the result. This red indicates the X-ray diffractometry result, and this black one which is pointed up indicates its natural value, its standard value of graphite. So it is sure that yes, our Benigard slate has no graphite, but we have carbonaceous materials. And this carbonaceous material is also equally valuable. It can be used in various industries, for example in rubber industries as well. So we can use this carbon, inorganic carbon, from Benigard Select, because we have everywhere Benigard Select in Lesser Himalaya. It is quite dark and
5 minutes, please.
Thank you. Similarly, this is the columnar section showing the position of iron and copper. If we establish such type of columnar sections, then only we can hunt the minerals resources along its strike. So my request, my concern is to establish such type of standard sections that really control the mineralization in the Himalaya. Similarly, this shows the distribution of lead and zinc in the Himalaya, and my concern is to extend the map along its strike. These are the potential geological environment or units that we find this lead and zinc in the Himalaya. This is the lead and zinc of Ganesh Himal, and we just studied there what is its geological control. It is syngenetic, epigenetic, or what type of control is over there. Based on that, we decide what type of geological map we should prepare. So all major deposits and occurrences of lead and zinc in Nepal seems to be strata boundary and strata bed. So similarly for copper, I also explain on the same way that to find the copper we have certain key horizons, and we must follow such type of horizons, and then we prepare the geological map for prospecting of copper deposits, and this also shows the possible geological units that we find copper. Similarly for the gold, where do we find gold? As a placer deposits, or as a vein type, or as a bedrocks. So I have pointed some potential areas in the rivers and some as a vein types. We should mark such vein types, and this gold we can extract. And this is the Bhangeri Khola of Tanau, where students and myself were hunting the vein type of gold few years before. From Tiruvan University, we take students for the field work to hunt the gold and associated minerals in this section. Similarly, uranium is also controlled by certain geological units. If we follow these units, then we can find the uranium well. Middle Shivalik, pegmatite deposits, Hakkola, these gravel sediments, sandstone type, and we should mark on the geological map for such potential area. Similarly for dimension stone as well, where do we get the good marble? This should be clearly defined on the geological map. And similarly for non-metallic minerals, also we should follow the geological map, standard geological map, and based on this map we can find these carbonate rocks, because many parts, many good quality of limestone is already occupied, but I am sure that still we have many places to map along its strike, and we can get the good limestone and other non-metallic deposits. Thank you, sir. I just skipped these coals and precious and semi-precious stones, which were confined to the structurally controlled places in Nepal, Himalaya. And I finally goes to my final slide, last slide. For green marble, we have a very potential area. Amphibolite can be used as green marble. So we have in Himalaya, we have plenty of amphibolites. Then why not to think to use these amphibolites as a green marble? So I am inspired with this very famous our geologist, late geologist Chandra Kumar Sharma, Mineral Resources of Nepal. Instead of searching minerals from Kathmandu-based offices, it will be advisable to have a geologist in district office who can regularly survey the reported area with minimum cost. That's why the geologist should be in local level. Otherwise, geologists going from Kathmandu and searching, prospecting to the district, villages is not possible. In this federal system, so first of all, the post of geologist and scope of geologist must be defined and established. So finally, Nepal should develop a strong database in the field of geology to explore the mineral, and based on data, we should be responsible to reply the investors. And Himalaya is believed to be Ratnagara, a treasure house of minerals of different kinds rather than traditional ones. I already explained about rare earth elements and other possibilities of good minerals. without proper geological maps based on standard stratigraphy, the finding of mineral resources is a fragmentary work. I think we are doing such type of fragmentary works, and our energy and efficiency is, I think, may not be in the right track in some cases, and always remains uncertainties in our job. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Presenter. Nice paper. It moves from theoretical approach to the applied areas, and based on his own experiences, the paper came into a structure of a research paper. It was wonderful. And in short, he raised some questions about what is possibility in what area and how it can be utilized. That methodology should be made from the concerned sector, and in the same way, the resources are to be relocated was the gist of his paper, and definitely the government of Nepal is working on that approach, and now National Planning Commission and Central Bureau of Statistics is making a profile of the country, in which we say national data profile. We have given more emphasis for the innovation, and without innovation, the structure and proper status of mine and minerals cannot be estimated. So it comes from the baseline data from the real field. In a couple of months, we'll disseminate those data as well, and there will be a big room for scholar and researcher like you to work from the status of that real data. Next one, government has invested 0.3% of the equivalent amount of 0.3% of GDP in innovation, and it is to be increased 5 times to achieve the SDGs goal in 2030. So gradually there will be a big role for R&D for us to work. Thank you. And now I would like to invite our next speaker, Yassi Sudwar, to speak on his paper, Geological Assessment and Management in Hydropower Development of Nepal. It is allocated time, no problem. Just
warm namaste in this chill morning. I am Subhash Chandra Sunwar. I am working as engineering geologist in hydropower sectors for more than 22 years. So I would like to share my experience on geological risks assessment and management in hydropower development of Nepal. So my target of presentation will be in 4 groups, like introductions, then georigs with a case study, and georigs assessment, then georigs management, then the conclusion and the takeaway, home takeaway. In introductions, hydropower structures are mostly built in geological materials, is rock and soil. So georigs is risks to the structures posed by either natural geohazards or construction-induced georigs. So if you see the lots of projects in Nepal, we have lots of hydropower rigs and suffer from the hydropower rigs. And if you see in the lot of literatures, you can see in the World Bank as well, is the cost overruns or project delay due to the all geological risks. And we have recent example from the Somalia hydropower projects. Due to the rocky squeezing risks, they have to spend 1.88 billion US dollar to reshape that tunnel. So before investment in the hydropower projects, geological risk assessment and management is the key. So geological risks can be minimized and optimized. So if you see this is a huge shear zones, if we have to build this hydropower structures, is it possible, or how can we visualize these things in these georigs? Next is georigs can be classify into two types, like based on the sources as construction-induced georigs. Like if you have a very bad rock and shear zones fall in presence of water and high stress, then you have construction-induced georigs. Then natural georigs like landslide, mass wasting event when construction during the projects. And what will be the consequences of georigs? Main thing is loss of life, then structural damage, then delay of the project, it means cost overruns, then loss of credibility by companies or the contractors, then during the operations it will be revenue loss for the hydropower projects, then finally we have the economic loss. So I will give some of the georigs with the case studies in Nepal, different projects of Nepal. First thing is variation in the rock mass quality. It means we have to predict the rock mass for the rock support design for the underground everything. That will go to the cost. So it is very difficult to predict from the surface, and so this is the major risk, and I will give some of the examples. Like if we have 4 projects, we can see Khimti, Kaligandagi, and Modi and Marsangdi project. If the black one is, this is predicted, and hatch one is the actual project. If you see, the difference is very difficult. So it will make a cost variations here. So tunnel overbreak and daylight breaks are the very common georigs during the tunneling. So mainly occurs in the faults, shear zones, weak rocks, in presence of water, where has the very less stand of time. So some of the examples from Durdi project and Nyadi, this is Lower Modi and this is Chamalia project. Next one is rock brush and spalling georigs. This is very less we have experience in Nepal, because only one Melamsi tunnel is crossing 1100 meters. So at that time was very small crackings of at the ground was experienced. Next one is rocky squeezing is very common georigs in shear zones, weak rocks. When institute stress exceed the rock mass strength, then it started moving inside the tunnel. So it is time development deformations, then tunnel will be narrowed down. So one example from the Chamalia hydropower projects is about 40%, that is the maximum record of rock squeezing in Nepal, is almost a 5 meter of tunnel is squeezed, 2 meters is squeezed inside. So reshaping of that tunnel needs a lot of time and cost. Another one is, this is example from the Melamsi. This is the before that and after squeezing. All the supported rock was very cross and spend more time and additional rock supports. Similarly, water ingress and leakage are the common problems in the hydro tunnels, where only online or the circuit line tunnels. So if you see both during the construction, either water ingress or during the water filling, it will go out and in. This is example from 3 projects, like Lower Modi is a water ingress started from 6 LPS liter per second to 30 LPS. So it's very difficult to go further inside. Similarly, in Khanikhola projects, it's also 15 to 20 liters during excavation and very difficult then divert the tunnel all from the left side. So all example from the Khimti was 50 to 20 liters per second, and difficult to, at that time was little overbreak and difficult for the constructions. So next one is water leakage is example from Chaku hydropower project, that is a small one, and Upper Mai and Khimti as well. These are all circuit line tunnel. So it's water is during the filling is go outside. So grouting was done, post grouting, and it spent a lot of huge amount of money on this. Next one is flow stability rigs. because most of the hydropower projects are place the structures by cutting slopes. Another one is for the high dam projects, for the reservoir projects. If you undrained the land, then you have during the drawdown, it will have the slope stability problem. This is also the major issue. And recent example from the Sanjan projects, during the cord slope for the powerhouse is a slide down, and another one is Oran Thought project. We have a big news on, in 39 hours, the crew was rescued after the 39 hours due to the portal, landslide at the portal and blocked the portal. Similarly, Upper Madi, there are two crew was killed inside the tunnel due to the collapse of the landslide at the top of the tunnel. And foundation failure, settlement are another risk during the construction of the dam or other projects. And in low density soil are the sand, clay, or the weak rocks, and with the fault and safe zones. And one example can be taken from the Upper Tamakosi is after construction of this dam, there is a 17 centimeter displacement of the dam. But luckily, this part was at the rock, and this part was at this alluvial deposit, and only settle along the construction zone. No major damage for this. Similarly, Gulf flood is mass wasting is very prone to the Himalayan rivers, and it can be considered in the study, but it's very difficult for in very costly designs for the hydropower projects. And one example from the Bodekosi projects. This is the 3D overview before the bluff on 2016 July, and this is after the bluff is totally damaged the settling basin dam and where everything is. It is very difficult and expensive design it will be. And another one, this is the only small micro hydro in Thame. This is before one, and this is the flood I've taken from the Professor's Reynolds, and this is after floods. It's swept away all the headwalls and that things. And another risks will be earthquake in these risks. We have recently experienced in 2015 Gorkha earthquake, mostly damaged by the rockfall and the landslides. If you see this is the one project, and all landslides buried the weir and settling basin. This is after this excavated this settling basin, and ruptured the pipes of the two projects badly and by the rockfalls. So I go to the now georisk assessment. Before the main principle for the georisk assessment will be the BIP principles. Is first thing you have to visualize the georisk. Then second thing is you have to investigate and collect all the data. Then you have to predict that georisk. And what will be the assessment step will be visualization of georisk when you design or locate the structures. What will be the the georisk? Then you have to investigate for all that ground informations, and you need adequate site investigations. Then you have to construct the geological model, proper geological model, so the soil, rock, everything is started. Then predictions and type of the georisk is what are the causes and likelihood, then the severity of the. First, the visualize and list all the georisks of the different structures. Then list out all the georisk possible risks. Then for that you have to do the site investigations to collect all the ground informations. Like what we have challenged in the Nepal is especially for underground project is we have limited company and limited resources and mountainous terrains. Its transportation is very difficult, so it's expensive, and also the developer has very less investment tendency for the site investigations. Then finally we have to rely on geological map. That is the difficult part. And if you see the site investigation cost is in Nepal is very less investment. So we try to invest more to get the real data to construct the geological model. So methods are common, like everybody knows that geological mapping, then geophysical investigations, then drilling, then in situ tests, or the big projects for test sites, and the laboratory test. Finally, the site investigations. When you plan and everything, you should have confidence on that. If you get the more data, or it's not, data is lagging or something like that. So I will not go through all that site investigation because of the time limit. I'll go through the now, after site investigation and collected all the data, we will have to construct the geological model. Is a kind of plan and sections, is a 3D image like. So more accurate geological models, result you have very fewer georigs. So you have to do the geological model for the underground structures. That is a little bit challenged. Then the surface structures models, we have to do each and every structures of the hydropower projects. These are some of the examples from the dam. If you see there along the sections, there are some weak zones. These are the sections for the excavation and other things. Another one is, this is the tunnel geological model showing rock class and rock support design and water conditions. Another one is, this is the cavern, porous cavern models. You have to map each and every joints, fault and shear zone for the modeling of these things. This is surface porous geological model. If you see this is the plan, and you have the sections, rock lines and foundations for the all that groundwater below the earth. Similarly, this is the portal excavation in the soft ground. You have to do plan and sections with all that rock lines and water table and everything, and after construction this is. And final, last thing is predictions and design considerations on the after. So mass wasting is now these days we have suffered from the Jury landslide, the Botekoshi and Sunkoshi projects, transmission line and the power house. So it is very important for to carry out the mass wasting study. Like first you have to do the engineering geological map, minimum 2 kilometers upstream and downstream. But if it is risky, then you have to extend that length of. Then make a hazard map or whatever is. You have to find out the potential, where are the rock sliding, landslide, and that will come and the inundate or either the great dam below upstream. So these are the very important, and you need a detailed assessment that things. But is this and if there are some risks, then you have to think about, is it mitigation model?
9 minutes, please.
Mitigation model or measure will work or not. Similarly, the landslide and all fault geologics, you have to assess the things and how we can measure mitigate that things, or buried structures or underground structures with the critical things. And another one is liquefaction and settlement risks. You have to identify that potential of the soil and the rocks, whatever it is. So you have to propose the mitigation measures. And these are the geodesics for the underground structures. It's a very, if you have the frost rock and high stress, you have the squeezing. Then if you have a good rock but high stress, you have overbreak. Rock broth, and this is the overlap. Failure mechanism. If you have a overburden, then if you have multiply the 10 times of the UCS, then you have 100. For example, if you have a 50. Then 500 meters will be critical if you exceed that things. This is the general rules. And you have tunnel overbreak, you can identify these things and predict like grouting, spiling, that things for the mitigation measure. Similarly, for the rock squeezing, you can identify there are a lot of empirical methods. Find out all weak zones, stress conditions, and you will do the numerical modeling. Then you can have the support design like over excavations, that circular shape of the tunnel, pre-reinforcements, the investigation like geoelectric or the geophysical method, then drill and put all that piezometer installation, then you know the groundwater conditions. Then what will be the solution for that is, Either you have to do the pre-injection grouting or post-injection grouting, depending on the PU, polyurethane grouting, microbial cement, OPC cement is a simple one. Similarly, also for the water leakage, you can do the post or pre-grouting, like microfine grouting, PU or that things. And georigs management at the last. This is the risks can be managed, minimized, shared, transfer, or simply accepted, but it cannot be ignored. This is the famous saying for the risk management. Now, what are the steps for the georigs is? Georigs we can manage and minimize. And georigs stages are two stages. During the study stage, we have assess, this predict, and quantify the risks. Then construction stage, we have to deal or manage the risks. And risk management start from the early design phase, bidding phase, tendering phase, then the construction phase. Georigs management involves the georigs reduction in acceptable level with the acceptable cost. Then risk sharing by the contractual agreements or practices. If you see the georigs management step, we have to prepare a precise geological model. Then we have to also make geotechnical baseline report. That will be the live document for the assessment of the georigs, bidding process for the contractors, and solve the dispute. In that geotechnical baseline, you have all the baselines of the rock property, soil property, rock mass, ground level, everything, and how to deal that, tackle with the methods for the georigs. Next one is we need the panel of experts that will find out whether your study is complete or contract specification is ready or good to tackle all the georigs. And we have to mitigation measures. We have to consider for the design which designs will be easier and cost effective. Then if that is very expensive, then we try to relocate and find all the solutions. Then select the methods and design consideration for that things. Another thing is the choice of technology and experienced contractor to deal with that georigs. Otherwise, they don't have equipment like hand equipment, other things is not mechanized, very difficult and is very time consuming. So finally the contract, what type of contract will be the fit for that to tackle the georigs? Like we have different contract. If you do in the EPC contract, then you have owner have the very zero risk, but the contractor risk, that will be very expensive contract. So these are the type of sharing. Then principal risk sharing to the contractor is owner own the ground and everything geological risks and other things will be on the owner. Then contractor should have, based on the report and everything, this kind of risks should be, I will tackle in handle like this with the equipment and that kind of things with the quantity variation that thing.
Please, time is over, but still you are granted 1 minute.
Thank you. Now I will come to the conclusions. Georigs is the major cost factor in hydrocarbon development of Nepal, and georigs assessment and mitigations is the key. Then georigs can be managed, minimized in acceptable level, and georigs assessment will be the VIP principle: visualize, inspect, investigate, and predict. Then you have to construct the precise geological model. Then you have a less cost overrun. And geotechnical baseline due to the live document, you have to do that. And georigs start from the beginning of study to tender, then the construction phase. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. Very nice paper based on the real-time data and case studies. It was wonderful. Upon observing the paper, you are seeking for climate change resilient development approach. I think that approach would help you to minimize your upcoming unforeseen future risks, even though risk sharing, mitigation and adaptations are also very important component to be addressed and incorporated in the paper, so that it would be wonderful. Now we have distinguished scholar participants. I think we are running out of our stipulated time frame. Still, to make balance between keynote speakers and presentators, opportunities to answer the questions from the floor, I just would like to ask our participant to raise a single questions to one presenter. Please, how to manage, I don't know, but
so Nepal is a democratic republic. I think the act, the construction materials is not actually democratic. There are some discrepancies or inequality, and this will not impact on Nepal. It also impacts the neighboring country who may buy the construction materials from Nepal. So I think it should be immediately eradicated, and it will help us. I am from Bangladesh, and maybe in future you buy some of the construction materials from your country, so that will help us also.
we will try our best to incorporate your suggestions in our working plan. Presentation session is over and discussion session is over. So I don't want to take more time to conclude this session. I am very much thankful to you all because I got this opportunity to have small interaction with you with the help of our distinguished speakers. The speakers' presentations and papers were wonderful, and we can't comment those all papers within a very limited period of time because it takes a long time dedication to review and comment. So still, the raised questions were very prominent and meaningful. Thank you very much, the commentators and questioners as well. Actually, I'm from Planning Commission, so a couple of words I would like to put forward. This conference is a part of the initiations of identifying the key drivers of the economy for achieving economic prosperities. As industry is also one of the major sector for macroeconomic and overall economic sectors of the nation, our contribution of industrial sector for GDP generation is very low. That is around 13 and 14% still. But still we have predominance of potentialities to improve it, and mine and mineral resources will empower this sector a lot. This is our observation. Now, looking back to our trade, we are suffering a lot in a trade deficit. It is in fact about 1:14 conditions now. So we have to identify and specify our potentialities from the deep level, and we have to promote them all. So in a few years, we have a strategy to make strong commitment about establishing import substitution industries within a nation, and based on our comparative advantage and comparative benefits, we will promote export trade promotion as well. So without improving and developing industrial sectors, the country's development is somehow very difficult. So government of Nepal has given more priority to drive industrial sector in a fast rate to achieve high rate of economic growth. As we have already exposed in our policy paper that within 5 years, our GDP growth will be of double digits. So it will help a lot. This is our observation. And similarly, so far we are preparing a document of 25 years, vision document of 25 years. And within 25 years, we have projected that our GDP will be around $12,000. GDP no, per capita income. So now, right now we are around 1,000, and in 25 years we are projecting to be achieved around $12,000. So it is a very big target. In 2030 we have to achieve per capita income $4,000. So for that we need a very rigorous exercise, rigorous research, rigorous participation, rigorous consultation. Even if we have potentialities, but we have not been able to utilize them in a proper way, in a productive way. So we will work on this all, and we need your cooperation as well. With this all, I would like to conclude this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. Now, I humbly request Chair of this session, Dr. Ram Kumar Frial, Honorable Member of National Planning Commission, to present a letter of appreciation. First of all, I would like to call Mr. Engineer Uttam Pol's guest. Now I would like to call Professor Dr. Ram Bahadur Shah. Although we have run out of time, now I take this opportunity to call Mr. Ramprasad Gibre, co-convener of 9th Nepal Geological Congress, to present token of appreciation to Chair Dr. Ram Kumar Frial, Honorable Member of National Planning Commission. Similarly, I request Indra sir to present a token to our rapporteurs, Ms. Jinta Sakhe and Ms. Rasila Koiral. Thank you, Chair, Co-Chair, rapporteurs, and Ramprasad sir.
Uranium. And these patterns of trace elements are very typical for leucogranites being paraluminous in composition. We have the same pictures from my dissertation, from some samples from Bolivia, also from South America, but clearly leucogranites paraluminous in composition containing a lot of arsenic and tin here. So this simply means Nepal leucogranites are paraluminous in composition. Clearly, the high concentration of arsenic is connected to elements like lithium, boron, phosphorus, etc. We have a significant concentration of iron, a minor concentration of copper, zinc, molybdenum, cadmium, and lead. Of course, boron, this means tourmaline. Where do you find tourmaline? In leucogranites, of course, as you can find everywhere in Nepal, the high Himalayas, like in Manaslu area. So this is again a picture from the sterile from such pump where we extract the arsenic. And with this slide, I express many thanks to my scientific co-workers in Switzerland, in Canada, and in Nepal. Thank you, Marona.
Parallel technical session of day 3. So in this, we have, first of all, I'd like to introduce the co-chairman, Mr. Aurel on my right, and the two very, Kumar Khanta, Shankar Panta, and Sarmila Kaur on the left. So now, just before going to lose any time, I like to start the session, and I like to invite the first speaker of this session, Ruba Thapa, to present his paper entitled Challenges and Opportunities in Nepalese Contest. Thapa, floor is yours. And I like to remind once again.
Just this introduction, I think I can skip this slide. Because a lot of the participants are from Nepal only, I think. So I think I don't need to give all this introduction. Also, cement is a finely pulverized dust of burnt limestone, basically coastline construction raw materials invented in 18th century by Joseph Espedin, think it's still voice is clear. And it's a composition of oxide, and in Nepal generally 3 types of cement, OPC, PPC and PSC are being used, and in SPM Nepal Bureau of Standard and Measures has set the standard for all 3 types of cement. And if you see the global scenario, its total production according to 2016 is 4.2 billion. Per capita consumption in Taiwan at the moment is in 2018 is 900 plus kg, and USA is 300 kg. And China is the largest producer of cement, being produced more than 25% of the total production of the world. Very late, after almost more than 200 years of the commercial production started in the global scenario. First cement plant was established in 1975 as Himal Cement Industry, and private sector involvement in the cement industry was just before last 17 years, only from 2000-2001, where we started in the cement industry. And at present, total number of plants are 54. Out of that 54, 36 are grinding units and 18 are the integrated plant, including 2 government plants, namely Udaipur and Hetauda. It's a spread of the cement industry. Basically, grinding units are located almost all plain region of the country in the southern side, Tarai region. But integrated plants are located in Dang area, Lumbini, Palpa area, or Butwal area, Hetauda, then Udaipur cluster. Of the total demand is fulfilled by domestic production, whereas 5% of the cement is being imported from India. That is consumed by large government projects because of the duty exemption only, not because of quality and all. An average growth rate of demand is expected at 10%, and it was last year it was expected that it was calculated as 12%. And in South Asia, cement in Nepal is the costliest thing in South Asia, and probably one of the costliest in the global scenario as well. And good domestic market, sorry, very old data. Now the total demand domestic market is 150 billion rupees, not 50 billion, 500 billion. So economically it is possible, if it is economically viable, then technically and quality it is possible, there is a possibility of export also. And potential is on top after the hydropower in the production industry. High power consuming industry also, because we are developing our hydropower in a rapid manner, so it can consume a lot of power also. And Indian market, and we are being self-sufficient for this, and we are substituting the import. And based on domestic raw materials contribute substantially for the revenue generation also, and high employment generation, direct and indirect. Rather than direct employment, there is a lot of indirect employment generation aspect of this cement industry.
Here you can see these groundwater samples taken in pre-monsoon and in post-monsoon time, so that arsenic doesn't fluctuate very much. We have more or less the same concentration, but if we look at the iron concentration, first of all, it's very low. If I compare this iron concentration with other countries like Bangladesh or India or Vietnam, the iron concentration in groundwater in Nepal is very low, and this is one of the major problems. But that's geogenic, we cannot change the system. And here you have some figures about these differences in iron concentration. You see Nepal has by far the lowest iron concentration ever found in groundwater. You can see here on this sketch, arsenic concentration does not depend on iron concentration. It's independent. Same in post-monsoon 2015 and in post-monsoon time 2017. It's the same picture. Also, arsenic does not depend on calcium in groundwater. This means it cannot be derived from calcium carbonate, for example. Same picture, both seasons. But arsenic in groundwater clearly depends on sodium. And it depends positively on potassium. Why we have this low iron concentration in groundwater. So we have extremely heterogeneous alluvial sediments in the terrae. Predominantly we have arsenic-free, not arsenic-5, and arsenic-3 is much more toxic than arsenic-5. We have a decoupling of iron and arsenic, as I showed you. We have a positive correlation between arsenic and lithophile elements like lithium, boron, or molybdenum. And this way we can exclude pyrite as a source of arsenic. This is not possible. We have no sulfur in the groundwater. Graphite iron would lead to sulfate production. And the rise is mainly concentrating in clay minerals.
Conclusion, what I would like to say is, a deep basin-like structure about 600 meters deep and extending from north to south, along with buried ridges and sub-basins, forms the valley floor of the Kathmandu Valley. That's what we get from the lithogs. And thickness of the aquifer potential sediment over the bedrock could be 400 plus meters at places. Not in all places, but at certain places it could be more than 400 plus meters. And nature of the wells are even like a seasonal free flowing, even now. And large alluvial deposit filling of the basin could hold tremendous volume of groundwater, especially in the north. And if, as I mentioned, the north has a very thick Tyrrell formation, and if properly managed and properly executed, I think, for the Kathmandu Valley Water Supply Management Board or for the government, that would be a very good potential area for future groundwater prospects. And as I mentioned, northern part of the valley could be an ideal location for effective groundwater management. And rock aquifers also nearby. And equally important are the rock aquifers, which also show a very good groundwater potential. So with this, I think I would like to conclude with a message. And of course, I have two recommendations. So we need to, there's a need for deep exploratory drillings in the valley for potential groundwater exploration, and detailed study in the northern part for effective groundwater management, including possible injection wells in the north.
Any question regarding this presentation? Only not more than 3 questions.
This is a very nice presentation regarding the groundwater condition of Kathmandu Valley. Yeah, because I was working since 1968 in this field, and in my time, there were no wells at all, and I have encountered wells up to 20 meters plus 20 meters. So now the condition has changed a lot, because previously there were no drilling contractors, and now also the drilling contractors, they have the maximum capacity of 300 meters. Because this is just a report, you mentioned that there is plenty of water under 300 meters. But I was the person who used to say that there is no water in the rock before. Now I am the person who is telling that there is water in the rock. Because previously there was no facility to drill in the rock aquifers. Now there are plenty of many drilling contractors are there who can drill in the rocks now, and they can extract water from the rock. So the situation changes like this, and your study is very nice study that you have done, and you will keep it in mind. And in the future, in government sector there are no drilling contractors now. They have auctioned all the drilling machines for public, and private people they can drill and they So this is our concept. So this is not actually not a question, but just.
But I think that may be a boon in our case, because the wells that we have now, like 1400 wells have been drilled very, I think I would say very haphazardly. So that has, in a way, maybe it has contaminated that part of the aquifer. But now that we have, the deeper parts still remaining unexplored, I think if the government comes up with an effective plan, I think that will be managed very well. Thank you.
And I've recently graduated from Central Department of Geology. This presentation is a part of my master dissertation, and I want to thank NGS for providing me this opportunity to present my research with you all. I hope you find this presentation interesting and useful. The title of my presentation is Water Poverty Index Analysis and Delineation of Groundwater Potential Zone in the Lower Region of Tambacosi, Sub-Basin, Ramecha, Province Dormitory, Nepal. Emerging drought condition exacerbated by the climate change has dried spring sources, sparking water crisis. So the people of mountainous region is facing challenges related to water pollution, poverty and scarcity immensely. Since the country frequently experiences a drought in the event of water scarcity in the event of drought due to the decrease in the trend of the precipitation and due to the failure of the monsoon, it is important to identify the groundwater potential zone and for the future development of the groundwater resources. And identification of groundwater potential sites is an important step towards maximizing water availability in the water shortage area. Namely, Bhatoli, Chisapani, Korzor and Montali. Story area is about 70 square kilometer, and the story area is easily accessible by BP highway, which is 132 kilometers southeast of the Kathmandu Valley. And the story area lies in Lesser Himalaya, and the dominant lithology that was found in the story area is phyllite. And the major river that runs in my story area is Tambacosi Nadi and containing tributaries like Ranjur Khola, Sukajor Khola, Bhatoli Khola, Theri Khola, Korkali Khola, Karjur Khola, Lipi Khola and Mahadev Khola. Framework. The tasks performed to fulfill the objective are to estimate and analyze water poverty index and prepare water poverty index map, to delineate groundwater potential zones and validate it with the spring data, and to compare groundwater potential map with the water poverty index. Methods that we use during the research are categorized into 3 phases: stage study, field work, post-field work. Since my research consists of the 2 important parts, water poverty index and the delineation of groundwater potential zone, and for the water poverty index calculation, the methodology used is described in this slide, which was based on the WPI framework from Sullivan 2001, who is also the who is behind the concept of the WPI, and this resource assays use capacity, environment are the key components of WPI. And WPI is based on the concept that an area is not only the water poor if there is no availability of the water resources, but an area can be water poor if the people are income poor or there is not accessibility of the water and so on.
The second one, the first one, calcitride, urinite, pyrochlor, small pegmatite bodies, that is, I have already said. The second one, that calcitride, pyrite, ostate, in pre-Camden silicified and silicized phyllite around donator granites. And the third one, that mineralization that we have in Tamil is calcitride, molybdenite, tungsten, ostate in quartz tourmaline rocks, tribasin schist, and around palm granite. The fourth one is calcitride, ostate, pegmatites, around pine rocks. Then tracing, seep and channel sampling. Those are the techniques that applied in investigation. So these techniques have been applied in the part of the Geological granite that lies in the far western Nepal, where we did a geochemical sampling of about 1,567 samples at 1 sample per square kilometer density, heavy mineral concentrate samples, 95 samples at 10 square kilometer density, then floor survey, calcitride examination in heavy mineral concentrate and cross rocks, soil survey, trenching, and these all have been done in that area. Then the next is the phyllite and schist, that 4 samples were examined. Just the range is 2.5 to 10 ppm, and the carbonaceous schist 4 to 10 ppm, and the quartz schist and the quartz schist, that is From the analysis of these rocks, granitic rocks, it shows the area is not so potential, and it was a frustrating in the initial stage. Iron, copper, and the lead. The lead is for armory, and iron also for artillery and utensil, and gold and cobalt. That is only that time the cobalt is exported to, I think that is going to even to Lucknow. They were only the metals were in Nepal. In 1970s, we had one United Western export, Talolo, PA Talolo. In one sample, we found 0.2% tin. That made the emergence of this tin prosperity of tin exploration in Nepal.
Gokarna area and Changunarang area, in which we measure the attitude of drilling 10 joints and using hydrochloric acids in different part of the area, study area. And after that, geophysical data collection, ERT and base are used. In ERT 600 meter multi-core cable is used with 10 meter spacing, and which is connected to mainframe and which give the penetration of up to 100 meter of depth from the surface ground level. And, in geological borrow data collection, 5 drill holes were collected from Nayapati, 5 from Sundajal, and 5 from Jorpati and Bauta area. And this lithologs were defined into 7 groups, which according to the geology of Kathmandu Valley, litholog, because the litholog was prepared by different person, and the section was prepared by rockworks, greenish pyrite schist and quartz vein, which is relatively highly resistant to weathering. And deep strike was measured north, it was facing toward northeast. And total 6 ERT was performed and 1 BS was performed in this in the area. We can see ERT1 and ERT1A is aligned in straight direction. 2 ERT are performed in which is continuation. ERT1A is continuation of 1, and similarly 2 is continuation of 2, which is overlap with each other. And
limestone deposits, on the other hand, is also available in quantities in the middle mountain region. So it is known also the exploration done so far. So limestone can be used as raw materials for various industrial products, but presently it is mainly used in cement production. Is for the provision of Article 251 of the Constitution of Nepal, the Federal Constitution, I should say, of Nepal, National Natural Resources and Fiscal Commission, we call it NNRFC, Act 2017, prescribes the fundamental basis of royalty sharing among federal, provincial and local governments. So again the sharing of the royalty that has been collected in the central or anywhere in the government agency has to be transferred back or distributed according to this act. So the ratio of royalty distribution system to the federal, provincial and local government is prescribed in the Intergovernmental Fiscal Management Act, we call it IFM,
2074 becomes some of the Nepali year, and similarly 2017. The Section 7, Schedule 4, Note 1 of IFM Act 2017 prescribes the ratio of royalty distribution to the state and local level on the basis of the effect by the use of mineral resources. That means when we mobilize some of the mineral resources from the local level or local area, let's say we have a small authority down to ward level, so when we mobilize, when we use or when we exploit the resources, we are actually affecting the direct effect of the mobilization will be at the ward level. To obtain a share of benefit, with benefit I mean the royalty or royal revenue, what is collected from the mobilization of the mineral resources are producing royalties by the mobilization of mineral resources. Based intergovernmental transfers. So this means the objective-based indicators are chosen. For example, the poverty of the local level or the population of the area and the remoteness, etc., or the education level and so on. So that would then transfer or provide some of the share to that area that has been collected from the mobilization of the mineral resources. So percent is producing local government. And landowners and non-producing subnationals, they are not provided any royalties from the mineral taxations. So similarly, the Ghana, Indonesia, so I just highlight Indonesia royalty, how it is transferred. The central government gives only 20%, 16% is given to producing province, and then provision from the constitution, which is actually the provision is according to the Intergovernmental Fiscal Management Act, which I have mentioned before. According to the Section 7, Schedule 4, Note 1, the royalties collected from different aspects of different sectors, like from mountaineering, electricity, forest, mines and minerals, water and other natural resources, they are all distributed in equal amounts. Like 50% is kept for federal government, 25% is given to state, and 25% to local government who are producing the royalties.
If we have to increase the groundwater, then we have to conserve these type of areas which have this type of difficulties with permeable layers. This is the LELC map, land cover and land use map, along with the research area delineation which I have prepared. It is of 1996, and as you can see that this is the research areas which I have demarcated, and this table shows that the areas have been decreased. Like cultivation has been, cultivation here is, we have 92% of cultivation here, but research area, so that's why the research area is 20.32% of the total area. Similarly, in 18.27% only. Similarly, this decreasing trend is seen in 2017 as well, and the research area has decreased as 15.71%. Now the calculation of the research area, as we can see in 1996, there is a 20.32 kilometers square of research area we have, and which has decreased in 2017, and it has been as 15.71 kilometers square, and the decreasing trend is like 2.28% in 1996 to 2006, and from 2006 to 2017, it has been decreased by 3.77%. That is, geologically, the northern part of the Kathmandu Valley is very good place. We can make the recharge to rise the groundwater level, but due to the planned urbanization, it has been very impossible to make that. And the research areas is also seen decreasing, and no efforts are being done to conserve it. That means something that research areas should be delineated, and those should be preserved in order to compensate its degradation. As if we just move on
urbanizing our valley, and we just cut down all trees and make all concrete floors, and there will be no infiltration. That is, there will be, we will just extract groundwater and it will be coming out and nothing going down. So there is, if we have to take some output, then we have to give some input. If there is no input, then there will be no output. That's why I want to implement this. And the area for urbanization should be minimized. Basically, near the research area having the permeable and different materials, and degree of pollution should be monitored over there. Research area should be protected for the healthy aquifer system, and this area are the best place for rainwater harvesting as well. And
Thank you very much. So I think all presenters is absent.
This is the one of the part of my dissertation. So this topic is hydrogeological mapping of the southwest part of the Kathmandu Valley for the groundwater resource assessment. It's me, Rasila Gorala, and I have other members who supported me for this. Finally, the recommendation. And moving towards the introduction, as the hydrogeological mapping are of different types, that is the modified geological map that can include the ground surface map, also geological map, potential map, water quality map, geothermal map, and hydrodynamic map also. But in my part is only for the groundwater potential map. And as we all know, the groundwater is very important for the natural source, which is used since age through the dog wells and the stone spouts. And as this is my study area that covers the southwest part of the Kathmandu Valley. Mainly, the southwest part of the Kathmandu Valley is divided on the basis of the water availability by the right bank of the Bagmati River, which consists high hills and a huge amount of the groundwater potential and large number of the spring sources also. And on the other hand, left bank of the Bagmati River mainly has the less groundwater potential. So the people should be sympathy on the chemicals but also the groundwater is not so satisfied, and the study is focused on the hydrogeological mapping, that means based on the delineating the shallow groundwater potential zone for the groundwater resource assessment, which may be the beneficial for the concerned authorities, planners, researchers, as well as the locals, which can solve the water scarcity problem. And this study has been done, and the planning for the works has been done, and similarly field survey and this satellite image has been collected, and the data following to the data analysis and interpretation, the thematic layers of the static water table, land use, and drainage density, geology, and aquifer thickness map has been prepared under the gas processing, that means weightage overlay analysis and the raster conversion. And finally, the potential map is prepared, which is also a part of the hydrogeological map. And moving towards the thematic layers for the potential map, and static water table is the most important parameters for the groundwater, which can influence more for the groundwater potential, which shows that ranges from the 1280 to 1412 meters.
Heavy mineral sand deposits in the coastal area. So far, 17 heavy mineral sand deposits has been discovered, and which you can see in the map. And on an average, this is 23% heavy minerals concentration. You see, 23% is a very good concentration, though it varies from 8% to 43%. But on an average for the whole Bangladesh coastal environment, it is 23%. And I just want to give just let me inform you that even sometimes 2% concentration of heavy minerals are economically viable, provided other factors are satisfactory. And among that, all the heavy minerals are not economic. Some of the heavy minerals are economic, as I have told, that ilmenite, zircon, rutile, garnet, and monazite. And all of you are, for the last few days, we are discussing about the rare earth element. Even monazite is one of the source of rare earth elements. You might be knowing in India, they produce rare earth from the monazite available in their beach environment. And there is an organization named IREL. IREL means Indian Rare Earth Limited. So they have many other subsidiary organizations throughout their country. This is just for example. They use, and wherever you get this monazite, and recently another interesting thing, that monazite based reactor will be in the offing, and India is a pioneer country. Uranium is the main fuel of the nuclear reactor, but monazite, that means monazite is mainly contained, one of the important, it is about 7 to 8% we get thorium in the monazite, and thorium is utilized in the nuclear reactor. And we have this, you were discussing about the titanium. The source of titanium is the ilmenite. Ilmenite, rutile, as well as leucoxene. These three minerals are the sources of titanium. And this other minerals, zircon, you know, zircon have a huge use in the refractory industry and as ceramic industries. As well, zircon is heavily used in nuclear industries. So these are some images of our beach environment, where you can see this blood. We call that this heavy mineral sands deposits. There is, we call another name is there. That is, we call it blood sands. Blood sands, you can see that it is very blackish color compared to the normal sand. So results of these heavy mineral deposits, mainly ilmenite is the highest amount, more than 1 million tons, and other minerals, some are 200,000, some are 150,000, some are 180,000. Particularly ilmenite is followed by garnet, zircon, and other minerals. So this is just in the diagram graphically, and here we have given the heavy minerals in the heavy fraction, not in the raw ilmenite, and it is followed by garnet and garnet and zircon. And this is just 2 minutes. Okay. According to, we have done some geochemical study, how, and we have compared with the international standard, and according to the study, our zircon is very much comparable with the international standard, but unfortunately ilmenite has less TiO2 per titanium, but it can be upgraded. And this is, we have a pilot plant, and in the pilot plant we follow some flow sheet that is there. And now we go for million tons every year. So among that, lot of heavy minerals also brought. So these are the area which has been surveyed, and you can see how we are getting our survey. And that about 124 million tons of economic heavy minerals are present. So you can understand that huge potentialities are there. In the beach environment, we have got about 2 million, but in the river environments, we have got huge. That means it is 150 million tons, and some minerals are $500, some are $2,000 million. So that's all. So this, I can give thanks. These are some pictures of how it is done in the this tree, as we all results. So these are the concluding remarks, which I have already said. So
on pinkish light blue.
Heavy mineral sand deposits were identified. Heavy mineral layers in the rivers. and also highlighted on the important heavy minerals like smaragdite, ilmenite, etc. So then there are possible deposits and their market value. Thank you very much once again. Now I like, since we have very short time, if there is interesting people are interested, we can have some questions later on. I heard the one presenter is not here, then we may save the time, okay? Therefore, I like to invite Dr. Mr. Dharma Raj Khadka.
Good afternoon. Today I am going to give my presentation about the phosphorite occurrence in Far Western Nepal. This work is not completed. We only have done some exploration in Far Western Nepal. So the lab analysis report is not coming, and only the field study is shown in here. These are our banks. And when phosphorite, it is the only commercial feasible source for the production of phosphorus fertilizers. And it is the non-data sedimentary rocks, and the phosphate which contains P2O5 bearing rock, they are mainly the carbonate rock and the mollystones. And these are mainly in dark brown to black colors, ranging from lignite to bed size, and they are few meters to several meters thickness. And these are formed from the accumulation of cells of certain microorganisms as hepatite. And in Nepal, there are occurrences are shown in many parts of our country because we have many carbonate rocks, but still we have lack of study to recognize these phosphorites in Nepal. And this is the phosphorite deposits in the world. Mainly the 4 countries in the world, they occupy about 75% of the total phosphorite deposits. They are China, USA, Morocco, and Russia. And these are the main countries in the world which have main phosphorite deposits. And previous study on phosphorite in Nepal, mainly the phosphorite rock study is done from the eastern Nepal and central Nepal and in the far eastern Nepal. And from the eastern Nepal, this Barak Kshetra area, there the phosphorite is shown, and in the central Nepal, central part, there from Hetona to Arakhanchi area also there phosphorites is observed. And similarly, in the far eastern Nepal, we mainly have in Badang and Bajra district, and somewhere in Doti and Assam district also. And this study is mainly in Badang district and Baitari district. And first, in Badang district, the phosphorite is mainly occurred in the Chamilia carbonate formation of Lesser Himalaya. And this crystalline rock consists of phyllite, schist, gneiss, quartzite, and metamorphic in this Chamilia rock formation. And this phosphorite is mainly present in the 30 dolomite bands with variation of thickness. In Badang district, there are mainly 2 sections. They are the Tarugar section and the Jiulagar sections. We have observed the stromatolitic dolomites, and the phosphorites are concentrated within these dolomites. And this is the geologic map of phosphorite band origin. This is the phosphorite band observed in Choti dolomite, and these are Tarugar section and Jiulagar section. In between this about 4 kilometer section, we observe this phosphorite band horizon. Now there is a track road is open now, but in the this band or phosphorite horizon, there is no accessible road, waterable road, and these black traces are shown in that are the parents of the phosphorites. And yellow precipitation in phosphorite when reacted with ammonium molybdenum nitrate solution. This solution is used in the field to recognize the phosphorites in the dolomite beds. And the laboratory analysis done for the 61.5 meter channel sample, and this shows that the average of 6% and the maximum of 11.53% of phosphorite P2O5 concentration is observed from the sample, and about 15 to 20 meter thick horizon beds. And the very pure study shows that there is about 221,000 tons of phosphorites, and this is calculated from the volumetric basin only, and the detailed study will be done in this year. And approximately 2,000 of phosphate gold deposits, they are from carbonate gold minerals, and now the chemical analysis show that they are only about 10% to 12%, and maximum of 22% we have seen. But in the present world, we can increase the concentration of P2O5. So if we found a good deposit in that area with a low grade also, we can upgrade the concentration of P2O5. So we are hopeful that we will get the good deposits in that area, and which will be helpful for the studies of phosphatic fertilizer industry in Nepal.
Is important. So if anybody has query or request or any suggestion, please.
I wanted to know where is the location that spot in our country that I come from that.
That was a very preliminary work, because when Talalog and other people, Chinese and other things, they mentioned about the phosphorite in Barachat area, eastern Nepal. Then when I came and the work was given by previously, Dr. Bashal was there, and then he went for his PhD to France, and that was work by me, later on followed him. And then what is the first thing? Then I think we should conclude this session here. Thank you very much for the presentation, and as well as all the participants and their very enthusiastic question answers, and all these things that help to my colleague here on the right and left. They helped me a lot, especially to keep the time. So after each presentation, I have given my comments or whatever it is, so I don't like to repeat it again. If someone is like it's already written here, you can take it from my note. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your patience and of course live discussions also. So now may I get this opportunity to provide a small token of appreciation to our chairperson and co-chairpersons. So can you please?
Sarvila Podal and Shankar.
So thank you for this session, because we have the closing session also after this, and we have been informed that we should finish it by 3:30 or something like that. To chair this session, it's my pleasure to invite Professor ASM Ubaidullah from Bangladesh to chair the session, please. Professor Ubaidullah. I request Mr. Madan Raj Pokhre from NGC Nepal to come in the front. In this session, there are two rapporteurs. One is Ms. Sanju Khatri. Come in front, Sanju. Ajita Bhandari. So both of you, please. So Professor Ubaidullah, the session is for yours, and it's my pleasure to be a coordinator of this session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So is the session 30? So we have actually 8 papers to be presented, but one of these already been presented in the previous session, and one actually is not present, and we have actually 6 papers to be presented. As we are lacking behind, so we would like to start with, I think it will not be very hard to hear all these technical words. We are all ready for it. And our first paper is on a small scale mining of construction materials, and it will be presented by Mr. Joy R. Gimir.
Just look at the pictures, but I want to say that I want to show the prosperous Nepal. What would be the prosperous Nepal be? Will Nepal be happy then? I don't know. So, and Geological Society has made aim with the aim that economic prosperity and sustainable development, and Nepal government has made a resolution, prosperous Nepal, happy Nepal, and definitely the economic prosperity prosperity, with economic prosperity and sustainable development, only we can achieve that goal. So the presentation of my layout will be I will cover the geology part, mining, environment, market, and overall aspects of the construction materials. So the construction material, basically I will discuss about the sand, gravel, and stone activities. And there are two forms of occurrences: river waste, then canal plot deposits, and terrace waste, and another is the bedrock, natural bedrock deposit. Some pictures are showing. And other. So what we have done studies so far, Department of Mines and Geology, what we have done so far, because I was partly in some of the activity, I'm also involved, and on other parts I took from the literature. So there have been a lot of studies on the construction material from Department of Mines and Geology, both basically the river and bedrock deposits, and research donation in the decade of 70 and then again in 80, and then those are re-evaluated again in 90, and still just last year also we did some re-evaluation on the material. So it was the results, river waste deposits, it was actually, the terminology was used inexhaustible. So plenty of, lot of uncountable, we have river waste materials. For the re-evaluation study, the terminology needs to be changed, it's depleting. So the materials, the river and boulder materials and cobalt fractions are waste, are non-existent on the previous study surface, and the terminology needs to be defined. So these are the from east to west far west Nepal, all along Surrey and Tarai region of Nepal, in major 234 rivers. So the total deposits was estimated to be about 746 million cubic meters. That is something about 1 million cubic meter of construction material, river waste material. Focus on the construction material activity and Department of Mines and Geology, and then choose the 14 districts in Nepal, from the eastern part of Nepal to western part of Nepal. In different parts, what we did, we take we selected the area and divided the area in the number of mines, proposed mines. So based on that, we choose 92 mines, which we identified 92 different mines in the government land. That also is the Mahabharat range of Nepal. And laws, Mines and Mineral Acts and laws, and local government's operational acts, forest acts, and environmental protection and protection act, and conservation and industry enterprises act, and so many others. So different organizations operate this. Just like this Mines and Mineral Acts, as far as concerned with this construction materials, local level, we coordination with Department of Mines and Geology and District Development Committee, and forest level. But Department of Mines and Geology, Mines and Mineral Acts generally deals with the natural bedrock only, and collection activity generally in the river material. So they are mechanized mining and so the mining of the river waste in different parts.
Data, which is parametric data, that is measured as indirect method like the geophysical methods like EIT or SIT or other means. So for example, this kind of one parent on section, vertical section where we have inserted 3 boreholes. Then if the information observed from the boreholes are directly observed, that is our soft data is just going to interpret that kind of information, but there might be some kind of different things too, at the meantime. So if we integrate these two data, then it will give better prediction or better or analysis. For that, I want to develop one model where hard information and soft information, that is non-parametric and parametric, is jointly integrated to jointly predicted map. For that, I will use Bayesian inference, which I already stated in the title, that Bayesian approach. For that, for example, this is our grid-based, like a two-dimensional domain. Just for example, X is indicating as hard data, like a 1, 2, 3 rock type, maybe sandstone, siltstone, or soil type, sand, silt, of a gravel, like that.
So some data are like this one, where hard and soft both are collected, like this one. But for us, only the 13 years 14 like grid, we have only soft data. Now we are going to predict here what is the actual lithology or what is the actual soil type. At that time, at that position, we can integrate the information from the surrounding hard information or directly observed information and as well as soft information, so that we can predict better prediction. For that, for just Bayesian-based theorem, which we already know about that, is a conditional probability theorem. This only I have used the major principle is Bayesian updating or Bayesian theorem, in which the posterior probability is can be explained as the prior probability and likelihood, which can be extended in terms. Our model I have used, this part is posterior probability and this part prior probability and this one is the likelihood. Here I only use this kind of proportional symbol because the total probability can be as a expressed as normalizing constant, so then we can use the proportional. In which transitional probability matrix works. And for that, indicating of our like a lithological or geological mapping, we use that kind of macro-based model. And this one is with equation where it can predict the hard information only based on the hard information only. Then, if we go to measure, the soft data, soft information, their properties, then properties like for example, resistivity properties maybe. Then different lithology or different litho units have different kinds of properties, different kinds of characteristics. So they have different kinds of values. Some range, some within lower limit to upper limit. It varies within one range. So using that types of properties, that is statistical properties, which can be expressed as a probability distribution function. Probability distribution function, where we generate this kind of probability distribution function from the observed soft data information.
India, so the name of my presentation is the climate change on the good move. If you use the fly ash and the recycled aggregate concrete as a construction materials, first introduction is with the civil engineers. The most basic thing is to know about the concrete, and this concrete plays important roles in the engineering construction works, from the minor works to the major construction works. So, we the engineer was trying to find out some materials which can be replaced this material which we are using in the concrete. So it's difficult to find which possesses similar properties. So while manufacturing of the 1 pound of cement, it produces 1.25 tons of the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. And while for manufacturing that aggregate, it emitted 0.0046 million tons of the carbon. This means that manufacturing process gives so much carbon to the atmosphere. So it makes something disadvantages or havoc in the atmosphere, in our ecological behavior. So I will proceed my presentation. As we know that the recycled aggregate is very familiar in this present world. Even the all continents are using this recycled aggregate in the construction of the major construction work by testing it, by proper testing and by using the proper appropriate size. And it gives the similar performance with the fresh aggregate which we are using right now. And it will preserve the natural aggregate. Why? It is very much important to know that in the morning session, every the research scholar, even the PhD professor, all are saying that the importance of the resource in our environment is very important. But nobody is saying about the recycle. It's very much important nowadays, sir. So it will be free from the environmental pollution. Environmental pollution from what? From the demolish. We have to use the demolish of the concrete in the filling of the in land, and it may pollute the environment. It may block the tunnel or the canal. So it is required. Why? Because it will give you a sustainable development. Why sustainable development? For the future generation. We have to think about the future generation. And these are some successfully used percentage by some continents. Okay, first of all, Africa is already used, replaced up to the 20 to 30%. It's quite successful. And so my aim of study is the million tons of the industrial waste, that is the fly ash and the waste concrete, used in the reconstruction work for the green environment. And the use of the 20% of the fly ash and the recycled aggregate in the reconstruction work is quite successful. I'm going to show you with my experimental result in the letters, and it will reduce the present carbon emission from the cement and the aggregate factories. And it also reduces the quarrying of the natural resources while we are just quarrying the resources from the land or from the river bank, from the hilly area, so we can reduce it and save the resource for the futures. And the method and the specimen here, I adopted the method is M20 nominal design. Why is nominal design? If it's saved in the nominal design, we eventually will save in the mixed design also. So for the design I used the IS code 456-2000, and I performed the test in the 3 specimen for each test. And I performed the steam curing at a temperature of 85 degrees Celsius for the 1 day, 24 hours. And I used the 15% and the 20% of the fly ash and the recycled aggregate for each per specimen, and I tested it by for getting the compression strength of that tube. I performing the compression testing method by using that machine. And result and discussion. This is not important, but I'm just showing this because it is important while we are doing that in mixed design. So it will be good to know for all the geologists or for the Nepal Geologists Congress. So I'm showing this one. You know that the use of the recycled aggregate should be quite economic. No, sir.
Maybe somewhere and giving schedule, jamming of the cut head with the gas emission as well and the excavation through the fault zones. And in the Berima Bay diversion project, TVM dot is provided with permitting as well and other. And some of the risks we have already faced in the tunnel. It is the high groundwater base. And the December 24, 2017, after some hour of the ordinary gas, water is reduced to 10 meters per hour, then it has slowly, nothing big problem happening. And it's also through the very far distribution. That's one where the organic cola flows down the water along the very first. And this is the map as a tsunami map at the very first. And there is a organic cola. Around 1,000 meters of approximation, which is heading to the extent from 300 to 400 meters.
बढी मूल्यवान खनिज रत्न मुख्य केन्द्रीय तराई क्षेत्रको सीमा क्षेत्रमा वरिपरि निर्माण भएको भेटिएका छन् भने महाभारतीय तराई क्षेत्रमा माइकासिस कम मूल्यवान खनिज रत्नका खानी निर्माण भएको भेटिएको छ। क्षेत्रीय रूपान्तरण अन्तर्गत निम्न स्तरीय रूपान्तरणमा निर्माण भएका सबै अल्पाइन किसिमका खानी र उच्च स्तरीय रूपान्तरणमा निर्माण भएका उत्पादन योग्य पेग्माटाइट तथा ग्रेनाइट खानीहरू मुख्य केन्द्रीय तराई क्षेत्रको वरिपरि निर्माण भएको भेटिएका छन् भने मध्यम स्तरीय रूपान्तरण अन्तर्गत प्याराग्नाइज गृह चट्टानमा निर्माण भएका अल्पाइन किसिमका र अर्थोग्नाइज गृह चट्टानमा उच्च स्तरीय रूपान्तरणमा समवर्ग रूपान्तरण अन्तर्गत निर्माण भएको ताप्लेजुङको सफारी खानी समेत मुख्य केन्द्रीय तराई क्षेत्रको वरिपरि निर्माण भएको छ। तर काहीँ नै माइकासिस टुर्मालिन र माइकासिस गार्नेट खानी पर्दछ। नेपालमा हालसम्म धेरै प्रकारका रत्न खनिजहरू पाइन्छ भने 3 प्रकारका रत्न खनिजहरूको मात्र उत्खनन भइरहेको छ। यसमा चाहिँ क्वार्ट्ज, काइनेट र माइकासिस टुर्मालिन। यो क्षेत्र चाहिँ यसमा मैले चाहिँ विशेष गरेर कुन क्वालिटीको स्टोन चाहिँ कुन क्षेत्रमा पाइन्छ भनेर मात्र मैले यसलाई मार्क गरेको। यहाँहरु बढी विज्ञ हुनुहुन्छ। सरी यो जुन चाहिँ पिङ जोन छ यिनीहरूमा भएको क्षेत्रमा चाहिँ उच्च स्तरीय अलिकति हाई क्वालिटीको जेमस्टोनहरू पाइन्छ भने यिनीहरू बिचको क्षेत्रहरू यो अलिकति यसले पनि मेरो चाहिँ टाइम थाला जस्तो लाग्यो हैन यो बिचको क्षेत्रहरूमा यिनीहरूमा रहेको ठाउँहरूमा भएको खनन भएका उयोहरू चाहिँ यिनीहरू चाहिँ माइका सिस्टमा कम गुणवानको तर चाहिँ परिमाणमा धेरै पाइने स्टोनहरू चाहिँ यी तलको क्षेत्रहरूमा पाइन्छ। अब मानव निर्मितमा चाहिँ मैले धेरै बयान गरिरहेको छैन विभिन्न प्रयोगशाला तर उद्योगहरूमा विभिन्न किसिमका रासायनिक प्रक्रियाद्वारा तयार गरिने रत्नपत्थरलाई मानव निर्मित रत्नपत्थर भनिन्छ। विश्वमा यसको खपत चाहिँ प्राकृतिक रत्नपत्थरहरूको भन्दा पनि अझ बढी छ। हामी चाहिँ समान सराउनै भन्छौँ तर भ्यालुको हिसाबले हेर्ने हो भने चाहिँ यिनीहरूको अझ बढी छ। यिनीहरू चाहिँ गरगहना भन्दा पनि कपडाहरू सोहरू विभिन्न किसिमको पर्दाहरू अथवा ती विषयहरूमा पनि अत्याधिक मात्रामा प्रयोग हुन्छन्। धेरै नै छुट्याउनु पर्ने अवस्था आयो। त्यही चाहिँ प्रशोधन उद्योगमा चाहिँ हामीले केही कामहरू गरेका छौँ है। प्रशोधन उद्योगमा चाहिँ हामीले यसको डेभलपमेन्टको लागि के काम गर्नु पर्नेछ भन्दाखेरिमा चाहिँ यसमा जति पनि उत्पाद तयार जेमस्टोनहरू हामी आयात गर्छौँ। तयार जेमस्टोनको आयातमा चाहिँ त्यसको भन्सार वृद्धि दर चाहिँ बढाउनु पर्ने जरुरत छ र कच्चामा जुन चाहिँ भन्सार दर छ 15% त्यसलाई घटाउनु पर्ने जरुरत छ। त्यसले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ हामी प्रशोधन उद्योगहरू सञ्चालन गर्न सक्छौँ।
And this is Balwa. In Balwa, erosional structure, erosional inlier can be seen here. This is the geological cross section along line AB, and this is the geological cross section along and consists of garnet, kyanite, bearing, vanadinite, and quartzite. This is the mineralitic fabric observed just above MCT in quartzite. The lesser Himalaya in this sequence consists of pelitic and symmetric schist, quartzite, calcareous quartzite, dolomitic marble, and graphitic schist. The study area has been divided into 5 lithological units, and we have not divided the area into formation. The lithological unit are calcareous meta-sandstone and marble unit, symmetric schist unit, calcareous quartzite and symmetric schist unit, calcareous quartzite and marble unit, and graphitic schist along with marble, gneiss, and quartzite. And these succession are from lower to upper. In mapping, we have mapped upper main central thrust. In the study area, upper main central thrust have been mapped with thick ductile zone lying above kyanite grade, or simply kyanite isograde has been mapped as the upper main central thrust. And MCT zone is widespread with various mineralitic structure and shear sense indicator. And MCT zone is the zone between two isograde, kyanite isograde line and garnet isograde line.
After few years, scientists proposed a method from which flies can be collected so that they will fly up in the thermal power plant, but it will be collected from bottom again, you can take it. When I tried to purchase flyers for my research, I purchased it from Kolkata. They were ready to give me for free because it is a waste product. Again, let's come to rice hucks. A lot of people in Nepal, India, China, we are very much dependent on rice. We know for the production of rice, where does the rice husk go? It goes as a waste. But rice husk also contains some properties through which, if we activate it using some alkaline liquid, it can be used as a binding material. But for that, we just simply cannot burn it in the open. For that, we need to burn it in a very, very restricted, atmosphere-restricted condition. Industries and all, wherever you do mining, wherever you take out hematite, magnetite, and then you produce steels, and then you produce so many TMT bars and all. But where does the waste product go? That waste product, I want to collect it. I want to use it as a binding material by activating it using some other chemicals. So Joseph Davidovich proposed that if any material which contains silica, alumina, and lime, which are the basic raw materials of cement, if it is activated using some chemicals which contains silica and alumina as a source material again in the chemical itself,
then it can be used as a binding material. The materials that I'm going to use, I've said it again and again, so let me just skip to it. Let us come to the SEM and EDX of OPC. While looking at the scanning electron microscope, we see that we can see calcium, as I've said, lime, silica, then magnesia, then alumina, over there, down there. You've seen it? Now let's come to the next slide. This is for fly ash. Again, only the percentage is different. So sorry. Only the percentages is different, but the same compound is containing in it. As you can see, alumina, silica, lime, and when it comes to ZZBS again, or blast furnace lead, they are again containing the same chemicals, but only in different percentages. This is how I have cast it. Since mine is basically on composites, so I didn't cast the standard 150 mm size cubes. I cast it in 50 mm cubes because I haven't put coarse aggregate or fine aggregate. My main concern is on the composites. These are the results and discussions that I've come up. Though you may think that there has been a bit difference, but if you see at the number, it is very, very close to each other. So this is the bulk density, water absorption, apparent porosity, and the compressive strength. But while checking the compressive strength, it was found out that those activated using blast furnace lead gave the highest compressive strength. My company I also noticed is that whenever there is change in molarity, which I can change as per my requirement. This was for 8 molar, but it was going very, very high up to 16 molar, but it is impossible to increase beyond 16 molar, because if we increase beyond 16 molar, it becomes very hard to mix. They just keep on fluctuating. Long time back, already alkali activated concretes were used to strengthen concrete structure and as a coating to transportation structures. And it was reported in 2004 that sleepers where railway tracks we laid on were prepared using geopolymer, and it was used successfully. So I'm seeing a very big prospect of using industrial waste and substitution of cement so that we can give back and we can conserve the environment more and more. So I think I'm done with my presentation here. Thank you.
Today I am here to present my research entitled Geological Mapping of Chandagiri to Chitlang Range, southwest of the Kathmandu Valley, with special reference to the geological structures. I'm freshly graduated from the Tribhuvan University. Without any delay, I would like to present my presentation now. Geologically, the Chandagiri to Chitlang Range lies on the Kathmandu complex of the Phunchoki group. Physiographically, this area lies on the Mahabharat range. It comprises some parts of the Kathmandu, Dhading and the Mokwanpur districts. These are the outline of my presentation. This is the location map of the study area, in which it covers about 120 square kilometer. Justification of my research are the Stocklin and Botrai and the Stocklin have prepared the geological map of the central Nepal in 1:250,000 and 1:1,00,000 scale by using the aerial photographs. Till date, there is no geological map in 1:25,000 scale, though it lies near to the Kathmandu Valley. The present objectives of the research are to prepare a detailed geological map and the geological cross-section in 1:25,000 scale, to work out on the geological structural framework with an emphasis on the Chandagiri thrust, to prepare a mineral resource map of the Chandagiri to the Chitlang Range, and to map the Kathmandu Valley sediments and the bedrock units of the study area. These are the methods that I applied during my whole research. This is the location map of the study area, in which we can see here the Chitlang formation, and which is overlain by the Chandagiri limestones, which is followed by the Sopang formation here, and which is again followed by the Tistung formation. The Tistung formation is the oldest formation of the Phunchoki group, while the Chitlang formation is the younger one. Here we can see the Chitlang syncline in the core part of the Mahabharat synclinorium. These are the alluvial fan deposits where these all are the Kathmandu Valley sediments in the study area. From here, the Kirtipur anticline is passes which extends from the Kirtipur, Balku and extends towards the Rupakot area here. This is the geological cross section along the Chabugao to the Kopgao area. Chitlang formation mainly consists of the dolomite, shale, slate, etc. This first photograph shows the interbanding intercalation between the thick bedded laminated meta-sandstone and the parting of the phyllite at the Chobar. This second sandstone near the Sikre Khola belonging to the Sopan formation. The well-known Bhutteshwar cave is also situated on the Chandagiri limestone, and the elephant skin type of the weathering is observed on the limestone from the Chandagiri limestone. The thick-bedded quartzite is also observed on the Chitlang formation near the Chitlang Bajrang, and on the limestone webmark is present on the Chitlang formation. The Kathmandu along the Handur note first related features like the horse, fault gauge, fault breccia, and the slicking sides were observed, though the large alluvial fans and the repetition of the stratigraphy are the evidence of the Chandagiri thrust. This thrust has brought the older rocks of the Sopan formation above the younger Chandagiri limestone.
My name is Zarendra Kesi and I am working as a geologist in Upper Namakosi Accelerated Project, Geological. So I am going to start my presentation, which is entitled Evolution of Wool-area Organized in Lesser Himalaya, a case study from Sapuresi Chamkhali area of central Nepal. The third outline of my presentation includes introduction and motivation, objectives and research questions, data collection, methods and tools, stratigraphy and tectonic setting of the study area. Then I will come to the result of the study. Then I will discuss and conclude my presentation. Geological mapping was carried out in different parts of Dhading, Rasuga and Nuwagad districts, Lesser Himalaya. Geological mapping was the essential tool for the establishing the evolutionary trend and relationships between intrusive body of gneiss and the country rocks. The major motivational factor for this research is that the place is very new and there are no such many kinds of research have been done previously. So this is the location map of the study area, and which is about 150 kilometers away from the Kathmandu Valley. So we did our field work twice, and these different boundaries was the different locations, and we have done in different times. So objectives of the study is to carry out the geological mapping of the study area in 1:25,000 scale, to understand the stratigraphic position, tectonic setting, and evolutionary history of wool-area organized, and to delineate the distribution of wool-area organized with respect to the host rocks, make a correlation with the lesser Himalayan gneiss distributed in the country. What are the main criteria for the mapping? What are the different aspects of its correlation with all the gneiss rocks distributed in the lesser Himalaya? So data collection methods and tools includes density study, literature review, field work, geological mapping, sample collection, stream sediment analysis, preparation of geological map, petrographical, microstructural analysis, data synthesis and interpretation, and then result writing and presentation. So these are the materials that we have used in the field. So this is the organized interpreted with the phyllite and meta-sandstone, which is the host rock of this area. So I have already mentioned that the green color shows the Kuncha formation, in which the wool-area organisms have been evolved, and other photographs shows the different locations and samples, outcrop samples of wool-area organisms. And this one
like this, if we load nucleus from if stress give stress from this, then it transfers like this. Then in which the surface area is equally surface energy is equally distributed from this surface area. This happens when there is a loading angle is 0 to 15 and 60 to 90 degree.
are responsible for lots, and we can see in the figure, it happens when the loading angle is 0 to 15 or 60 to below 90. And there is another one is OH or the white failure. It may be due to two close joint shade, like this and this. So sample tries for the buckling, so that the OH or the white type of the failure is obtained. And there another failure obtained is the shear failure. With a moderate amount of the confining pressure, the rock failure is characterized by the single phenomenon of the fracture which generates a shear displacement, like that type of the pattern, in which it is characterized in type 1 and the type 2. When the loading angle is 15 to 45, the low angle fracture is formed in the DC. There is a low angle fracture by the shear displacement. And another one is type 2. When the loading angle is 60 to 90 degree, below 90 degree, then high angle fracture is formed by shear displacement like this.
This is the geological map of this area of geology 1983. Desk study, field study, and lab work are the very important part of the methodology, and finally the results are derived. During gradation, ship size of 5, 2.36, 1.18 mm are used, and 600, 300, 150, and 75 micron are used. Composition analysis. The amount of delicious constitutes was derived by using standard ASTM C3303. Delicious matters equals to W1 plus W2 plus W3 plus W4 by W2, where W1 is the mass of pre-lump, W2 is the mass of cell, W3 is the mass of wood fragment, W4 is mass of coal, and W3 is the total dry mass. Organic matter test. This is one of the very sophisticated method, and I follow the Walke and Blackie 1933 process. Organic matter is derived by using formula B minus T by N by amount of sample taken into 0.76, where P is the amount of ferrous sulfur required in blank titration, P is the amount of ferrous sulfur required in sample titration, and N is the strength of ferrous sulfur required in blank titration, which is 0.5 N. Similarly, this is the gradation curve for plastering with BS level 199, 1986, and here is also the same. The x-axis represents the ship size and y-axis represents the passing percentage. This is the gradation curve for compared for screening with the BS level 199, 1986. This is the result of the physical properties. Water absorption value lies between 0.47 to 2.87, which is below 3% according to BS 812 part 2, which is very suitable for the constructional uses. And the specific gravity is between 1.4 to 2.7, which consists of the light to heavyweight mineral grains, and the density is between 1.79 to 1.22. This is the result. Third one is finest modulus range, indicate that very fine to coarse sand are widely exposed along the river. The degree of particle roundness and specific bore tend to increase with the transport distance. The trend of presence of deleterious materials and organic matter is continuously increasing toward the southern plain of the river. And the following slide as suggested for the fine aggregate for the best result for mortar for general purpose. Mortar side of Machekala Gaon, Arughat Bazar, Arughat Bazar, Borang, Khalsuk, Bendikar, Jogimar, Darazuk, Kurintar, Muglin, and plastering are very best for the general purpose. Similarly for plastering, Arughat Bazar, Khalsuk, Bendikar, Jogimar, Darazuk, Kurintar, Muglin.
We have very small time to say something. I would like to thank all the participants and the authors who are presenting 7 papers. And I would like to thank my co-chair as well as the reporters sitting beside me. So thank you all. Thank you very much for your kind presence in this session.
Excellent cheering discussion. Now, it's my pleasure to provide you a small token of appreciation for sharing and for everything. Please. Thank you everyone.